there was a bunch of other kids, and I remember running and playing with the kids and like falling down and eating an entire jar of pickles. And the boyfriend I had at the time was a roofer.
Awesome.
And so he would get paid on Fridays. We would get Coke. And
you're 12 and he's a roofer, your boyfriend? That's fucking insanity.
Yeah, that's crazy. But they tell me that I'm going to be committed to the state, and I'm about to go into the courtroom, and I'm like, Dad, I want to go outside and smoke a cigarette. I go outside and smoke a cigarette, and I just take off.
Wow. So you run away.
Yeah.
Where do you go?
I'm like couch surfing. I'm like jumping from place to place. I'm by this point, it's like progressed where I'm like doing oxys every day. I'm snorting heroin. I'm like not even smoking crack anymore. I'm like a full blown opiate addict at this point. And I'm just like kind of like bouncing around, and like I had like a master plan to like run until I aged out, like till I was 18.
So yeah, so you went with Franz.
Yeah.
But what are Franz references? Franz references are Hans and Franz from Saturday Night Live.
Hans and Franz.
Franz is, are you German? German. You have to live with the German stigma.
That's fine, but I'm a quarter Jewish in my blood, so.
That barely counts. That doesn't count.
Hey, my mom's Jewish.
You might, then you're totally, then you're 100%. Then you're 100%.
Yeah, see?
Isn't that amazing? If 25% gets passed down, then you might as well be 100%.
If your mom is Jewish.
My wife is not Jewish, so my kids are not Jewish.
Yep.
But they feel very Jewish.
Yeah.
But I tell them
Do
all
they
the
have
time.
the Jewish nose?
No, they don't. Thank God. I didn't get it until
You grew into it?
Until I was in puberty. Like I was like very goy, cute. Look, I peaked at like 10.
Yeah.
I was very handsome at 10.
Yeah.
It was a really good time for me. And it's all descended since then. But welcome to the show. This is Glynis Franz, Glynis with one N, from Peak of Possibility podcast, which is 3 P's.
Yeah, a lot of
Peak
P's.
of Possibility podcast.
Yeah.
It's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
And Peak of Possibility, Peak Path Health.
Lots of P's.
Lots of P's. What was the thinking with all the P's?
Well, so the treatment center itself is on the peak of Runyon Canyon. So, like on the map, it says the peak. And so our like flagship facility is like overlooking Runyon Canyon. And the peak was taken, the peak experience was taken. We look for all kinds of words that integrated the word peak. And we really like the idea of someone having like peak experiences and like having a new sense of purpose. And so we wanted to really integrate the word peak. It was a non-negotiable. So that was the only one that was really available and kind of made sense.
And everyone loves acronyms.
Yeah.
Right? Or anacronyms. What is the word? What's the word when you say a syllable over and over again? An alliteration? So Peak of Possibility is an alliteration. And Andrew Franz is in the background. So shout out to your husband, Andrew. And I just saw your soft white underbelly and I was like, oh God, this is serious business. And you go on there so like kind of put together and sweet, and the picture he takes of me, I look like fucking I don't even know what I look like. it was not a great look, but you look kind of like Mennonite-y. Very,
I like that.
Very like
that's what I was going for.
Settled in, and like the things that you said, I was like, holy shit, and I didn't know your story, and I'm very excited to have you on the show. So welcome to my father's apartment.
Yeah, I'm happy to be at your father's apartment. Nice guy.
Oh, very sweet.
Yeah.
He loves to show people out of the windows.
I know. Yeah, it's a good view.
He's always had dreams of kind of doing tours, but he hasn't really done that yet.
Yeah.
So one day maybe.
Maybe.
And
what kind of tours?
Like New York City tours.
Got it.
I think he's interested in that.
Maybe next time I'm into town, we'll just have him give us a tour for the fun of it.
I think he would like that.
Yeah.
I think he would totally like that. And you're from Massachusetts, from Worcester.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Worcester County. I grew up outside of Worcester, but
You have no accent.
No, I left when I was 21. I had a little bit of an accent when I was younger, but not as severe as like most of the people I grew up with. It was definitely there though. I said wicked a lot. You know, I dropped the R's a bit, especially when I drank.
Do you say wicked now ever?
I don't know. Do I? No.
Nothing is ever wicked sick.
No,
Never?
wicked hungry, wicked tired. Sometimes I'll say wicked tired. I say it less, I think. I moved to Texas when I was 21, and then I was there for like 4 years, and then I moved to LA.
Right, but that's the version of your story without all the insanity.
right.
If you're talking to somebody who's not the soft white underbelly guy or me, it's like that's a very normal story.
Yeah. Very normal, very Mennonite.
Yeah, it's Mennonite-ish. So like when is the first time you drank? Because you were like on real serious drugs very young. How did this happen?
Yeah, my very first drink, I was like probably 8 or 9.
What was the circumstance?
So we went to Jellystone Park, Yellowstone.
Yellowstone or Jellystone?
Is it Yellowstone? It's
Yellowstone is in.
No, not Yellowstone. Jellystone.
Jellystone is like a resort place.
Yeah, with like Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, not Yellowstone.
Not Yellowstone.
Jellystone. So we went camping. My mom, my dad, me, my sister. We had like a little pop-up tent. And my dad would drink like boxed wine when he would eat steak, and we were barbecuing steaks. And he let me have a couple sips, and there was a box, and he was grilling. And even then, that very first time, I would like go back, and I would get like a little bit more, and then like a little bit more. And he wasn't really paying attention, so I drank a bunch of, I don't know, Sunset Blush.
Were you by yourself?
My family was around, but they like didn't know that I was going back for more. I was allowed to have just a little bit. And then
were you with any other children, or was it just like I'm doing it?
Oh no, I wasn't drinking with any other kids. No.
So you were drinking alone, first time fucking out.
Yeah.
And it's such a stupid question to be like, oh well, what were you thinking about? But you're 8 years old. Do you remember any kind of thought like, why are you going for the box of wine?
No, so I just remember, I mean, the Sunset Blush when you're 8 years old, it's like kind of sweet, you know what I mean?
Sounds very glamorous.
Yeah, boxed wine for $12 is glamorous, you know what I mean? It'll, depending on how much you drink, it'll last a while. And I just remember, I knew that alcohol had some kind of effect on people. My mom at the time was sober, and she had gotten sober before I was born. And so I'd never seen her drink, but it was a conversation in our family that like mom was an alcoholic, and we would go to the like AA alcothon things for New Year's Eve and that kind of thing. And my dad would always say like, your mother's an alcoholic. She has an allergy to alcohol.
Wow.
And so I didn't know what that meant at 8 years old, but he would always say like, you might have it too. You got to be careful because it's genetic. He would say stuff like that. And so like at 8 or 9 years old, I had no idea what that actually meant. But I like was curious about
like maybe I can trick that. Maybe I can trip this allergy I might have.
But I didn't know what it meant. I don't even think he knew what it meant. I think he was just repeating shit that he had heard from my mom, because like my dad's not an alcoholic. He doesn't actually. If I asked him what the allergy to alcohol is, he would have no idea what I was talking. Like he could repeat it, but he didn't know what it meant.
Right. I wonder like because I told my first kid kind of everything. Because I was not with her. I had like visitation and stuff, and I wanted to explain it. And I think I was newly sober and more apt to share earlier than I would have probably thought about it.
Yeah.
But I wonder your dad saying that to you, if that had an effect.
Maybe.
Like the reverse effect that he wanted. Because you tell an 8-year-old you might be predisposed to the disease of alcoholism if you drink, and then you're sneaking Sunset Blush. It's like, who knows? It's so crazy when we look back.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So you wind up drinking in Jellystone, which is an amazing place to visit, by the way.
Yeah, well, there was a bunch of other kids, and I remember running and playing with the kids and like falling down and eating an entire jar of pickles. And that's really the only memory I have, of that whole situation. But I do remember like that was like my first drunk.
Crazy, so young, and then. You were on like heroin and crack very early too.
Yeah.
So did you go from alcohol straight to heroin and crack, or did you smoke weed first?
I smoked a little weed. I never really liked weed, but I did smoke it, even though I didn't like it for a while. But
give
was
give me ages though. Like,
okay, so when I was like, I was probably 11. So it was my things started to progress big time when I was like my summer going into the 6th grade. So I had a couple girlfriends that were like 1 to 2 years older than me, which doesn't sound like a big deal now being 33 years old. But when you're in 5th grade going into 6th grade, it's a big difference than being in like 7th grade going into 8th grade or 8th grade going into 9th grade. Like that's a big gap as far as like maturity goes. And
status.
And status, exactly. So I had a few girlfriends. It was summer. We would like sneak out of the house. We would meet up with these boys. I remember I actually talked to one of them just the other day, and I hadn't talked to her in years. And we had this one friend, and he was an Asian guy, and we called him Asian. She was like, "Can you imagine we called someone Asian? Like, how racist is that? That would never fly now." She was like, "It was no big deal though at the time." She was like, "We just called him Asian, and he went by Asian."
Oh, you called his name. You called him Asian.
Yeah. Like that was his name.
I was gonna say it's not racist to describe somebody as Asian, but to call them Asian.
That was his name. That was his name. That was the nickname.
It was
that he
identity.
Had. Yeah, for sure. So it was. There was a couple boys that we would like hang out with. We would sneak out of the house. We would like walk down like a mile down the road, and we would smoke weed and drink with them. So that's kind of like where it started. And then by the time I was in 6th grade, my mom left around that time, the beginning of my 6th grade year in middle school. And I was already drinking, smoking, kind of running away, like kind of rebelling at the time.
And she leaves sober.
As far as I know, she was sober. Yeah, I'd never seen her drink or use at that point. She was sober.
And what did she say? Like, what was the story exactly?
You know, so there's like, she wasn't getting along with my dad. I was a handful even before she left. I was going through puberty. I was starting to, I wasn't getting along with her. Like it was like battle. It was a battle, big time.
You described it actually on Soft White Underbelly as you were going through puberty as she was going through menopause, and it was a battlefield.
It was. Yeah, that's the truth. My mom had me a little bit, both my mom and dad had me when they were older. So she was going through puberty, she was going through menopause. I was going through puberty. And I also think that like my mom is really, she's like kooky and she's eccentric and she's like kind of like artsy fartsy, hippy dippy, like just, she's a bit of a weirdo, you know what I mean? But it was fun when I was a little kid, when you're like a 5 or 6 year old and like, you know, mom is all kooky. It's like a lot of fun. But as I was like starting to become a woman, I don't think she knew how to connect with like a prepubescent or a girl going through puberty. It was like very hard for her to handle me. And she wasn't getting along with my dad. Her and my dad were constantly fighting and battling.
And you didn't have brothers and sisters?
I had a little sister.
Mm-hmm. How much younger?
2.5 years younger. I have a little sister.
She's still around, thank God.
Yeah.
And she, and your mother, like, what did she say? Where did she go? Like, what did she?
Well, she left. And she left a letter. She left a letter and said, you know, I'm not coming home. And for like a couple days, like we really didn't hear from her.
And you're 13?
No, I am like, I may have just turned 12. Okay. I'm like 11 or just turned 12 because it's the very beginning of the school year. So I think it was like September or October. So my birthday's in October. I was probably 12. And she sent a letter, and at first I was like angry or sad rather, and then I became like angry, like very angry, and I totally just kind of shut off because I already kind of hated my mom, but I think that was like a normal way to feel at 12 years old. You know, I hate my mom, especially for a teenage girl. And she left, and she went to go stay at my grandma's house, and she stayed there for a few years and then eventually like moved off on her own. And at some point she did start drinking again. I don't know what point, because her and I didn't have contact for like many years, but she started like smoking weed and drinking, and she's not sober today. But she was like 25 years sober.
How far away did she go to?
She went from, we were living in Gardner, Massachusetts. She moved to Athol, which is about 25 minutes away. But she wasn't present in our day-to-day life.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
I blame my parents for my drug addiction all the time. Yeah. My mom's dead for a long time. She never got to really deal with me sober, but I blame my dad for my heroin addiction constantly, and I'm mostly joking. But I feel like you have a real case here.
Well, so at the time when progressed from like partying and acting out. I was hanging out with older boys. Like even before she left, I was probably doing a little cocaine or ecstasy. I was running away from home. I was drinking. I was smoking weed. Yeah.
How many kids at 12 are down with this kind of thing?
At that time, like none.
So you were the youngest kid in the crew.
Yeah.
Because I interview people all the time, and so do you. Do you encounter a lot of 12-year-old freaks on ecstasy? I don't mean to call you a freak.
No, it's okay. I was definitely a freak.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, no, it was definitely intense for sure. I think, I mean, I talked to other kids who had gone through similar experiences and started using. Most, it's a little bit later. And at the time, I think it's more common now. Like using drugs at a young age. Like you see a lot more kids getting hooked on drugs at a really young age than you did back then. But then I didn't know any kids who were doing the type of drugs I was doing that were like in the 6th grade with me. It was all older people that I was doing drugs with at the time. And I kind of like isolated and ostracized myself because kids were like, she's crazy. You know, they were like, she's crazy. Crazy Glenn. That's what they call me.
Crazy Glenn?
Yeah.
And then your mom leaves and like you're pissed. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, I mean, I'm going to take a guess that your addiction really ramps up at that point.
For sure. Yeah, it definitely does. And I don't know if it was just because she left or if it was already a long time coming. It's like chicken or the egg. But for a long time, I used that experience as an excuse of why I was the way I was. And like,
yeah, I think you should constantly blame her publicly too. I mean, I'm sure that'll be helpful for her.
Yeah,
life.
I'm sure it'll be great. No, I don't know that it was her fault. I was already having issues.
Nothing is anybody's fault.
Yeah.
I think it's funny to blame my sweet father.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in a very nice situation, and I like to punish him now.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and your mom lost her recovery, and your story gets so crazy. I'm just half joking when I say you should blame her. And your dad, what's up with your dad now?
My dad's like, he's old as shit. He was old as shit then too.
How old is he now?
He's 78.
Oh, he's younger than my dad.
Yeah, but how old are you?
I'm old. I'm old as shit.
Yeah. So exactly. My dad was like in his like late 60s or 60s. He was in his 60s when I was like a crazy ass like 12-year-old drug addict. And so he was working overnights. He was super resentful at my mom. He was just like kind of like a sad like man walking around and, you know, working 11 to 7 in the morning. So
what was he doing for work?
So he was a postal worker for like 30 years.
Nice.
And then he retired. And then when my mom left, he had gone back to school to become a boiler engineer in the hospital, like boiler room,
wow.
You know? And so he was working in the hospital in the boiler room.
And he has 2 daughters, and you're fucking on. When's the first time you did coke?
12.
Do you remember any of it?
Kind of. I was hanging out with a bunch of boys, older boys, maybe one of my girlfriends. We were doing cocaine and we were also doing ecstasy. I don't remember the exact moment. I remember the first time I smoked crack because it was like soon after that because it was the same boys that I was hanging out with.
What was the first crack moment and how fucked up are the boys? The
boys now?
No, then.
They're fucked up. They're still fucked up. Yeah, none of them are okay. I say boys, they were way too old to be hanging out with me.
How old were they?
One was 17. The other one was like 22.
I have a 15-year-old, right? A 15-year-old girl.
I know.
And I'm just like, I think I know what's going on. But I hope I know what's going on.
Well, you're hip to game. My dad was not hip to game.
You're hip to game unless your kid paints a picture and you want to believe the picture.
Well, that's 100% what it was. My dad wanted to believe the picture for sure. Because my little sister, I was like doing drugs around her. Like she knew what was going on. And she would like tell on me all the time. She'd be like, she's using fucking drugs. She's smoking crack. Like she would say crazy stuff, but she would do it out of anger and she would get like explosive and emotional. And I would just be like, so chill. And I would like just gaslight her. And I'd be like, do you see this woman? She's crazy.
This woman who's like 10 years old. You're 13 smoking crack. Your sister's 10. She's like, Glynis is smoking crack. And you're like, Dad, she's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
It is insane, yeah. And I think he just wanted to believe it.
Wait, what's the first time you smoked crack?
So I was doing coke with these guys pretty regularly.
These boys.
These boys, they were men, but yes, boys.
17 is still boy.
17's a boy, yeah.
But were some of them like 26, hanging out with a 12-year-old?
22, yeah.
That's horrible. And were you sexually active at 12? Mm-hmm. When did you become sexually active?
6th grade. Yeah.
Okay. With these older kids?
I lost my virginity to an older boy, but not that much older. He was probably 15.
He was a sweet boy, not a crack boy?
I wouldn't say he was a sweet boy.
Not particularly sweet.
Yeah, but he wasn't a crackhead.
All right, well that's something. That's something for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to the first crack experience. And it's like I never know how to deal with talking to a woman about when they became sexually active as a girl.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't think my daughter's sexually active, but it's kind of like not my business. But I feel like in your story,
I feel like it is your business as a parent.
It is, but it's like, is it? You know, how does that work?
At 15? Yeah.
I don't think she's sexually active. I saw her walking back from the football game with a boy for the first time.
That's good.
And she was very embarrassed. And then I saw them smoking crack under the bleachers. I was like, what's happening here? No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Back to your story, please.
Yeah. So these guys, I don't know. This is more of an East Coast thing. So in California, where I live currently, roofers, construction workers, not all the time. This is a generalized statement. Usually Mexican. On the East Coast, it's usually like grungy white dude, alcoholics that smoke crack. Yeah. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
And the boyfriend I had at the time was a roofer.
Awesome.
And so he would get paid on Fridays. We would get coke. And
you're 12 and he's a roofer, your boyfriend? That's fucking insanity.
Yeah, that's crazy. It is crazy.
Like, yeah, I'm going to go see my girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
She's fucking 12.
It's a pretty good accent.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so he would get coke and like we would all do coke with his like roofing buddies. And they would cook it and smoke it. And I would like have my little pile and sniff it. Now, I tried smoking it for the first time because I would have my little pile. We would like divvy it up, you know what I mean? And they would run out of theirs more quickly, as one does when they smoke crack. And I would still have some left, and they'd all be like jaw going, and they'd be looking at my pile, and then eventually they would take my pile of coke and they would cook it up and they would smoke it. So I'm like, I better figure out how to smoke it. So I remember the first time I tried, I didn't really get a good hit, and I'm like, I don't like this. So maybe 2-3 more times go by, a few more weekends. Same thing happens. They end up taking my little pile, you know, like they're sweating, their jaw's going, and they want the little pile of coke. And so I'm like, I better try this again. Tried it again. Got the old bell ringer, and yeah, like that became my drug of choice for a while.
And then you're smoking crack at home. How are you getting the coke? The boys would give you coke.
The boyfriend, the specific boyfriend.
The roofer.
The roofer.
How old was he?
23. Yeah.
And you're 12.
I'm probably 13 by now. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with him?
No.
I
talk to his mom sometimes on Facebook Messenger, and like, yeah, he's not.
You can blame her for your drug addiction instead of your mom.
No, she was doing the best she could. Yeah, he's not doing well.
Well, he wasn't doing well then. He's dating a fucking 13-year-old. I'm sorry. Like,
it's fucked up.
I've done many episodes of this show, and I love it when I'm shocked by something.
Yeah.
Just a 23-year-old dating a 13-year-old. I mean, again, as a parent of 2 girls.
No, it's crazy. I mean, now that I'm a grown woman and I'm able to look back on those experiences and be like, what the fuck was going on?
Did your dad know, or he's in the boiler room? He doesn't know what's happening.
He doesn't really know what's happening.
I would fucking kill a 23-year-old.
A couple years. I ended up being in this relationship with this guy for a few years.
This guy?
Yeah.
The roofer.
Yeah, the roofer. And it gets to a point where, like, it's progressed to a point where we're, like, smoking rocks every night. We're taking, like, methadone pills from some lady that we would, like, buy methadone from to come down. And then eventually this is, like, kind of when the pain clinics and Oxycontin become, like, huge, right? Especially on the East Coast. And he has this cousin who we smoke crack with who has cancer. And the cousin has cancer and has a script of Oxycontin 80 milligrams. And at the time, it was like so new that a lot of people like didn't really know what they were. So we would trade them like a 40 of crack and he would give us like 2 80s. Or we would buy like a bunch of his script for like $5 or $10 a pill, like almost nothing, right? Like the real OC 80s. And we would use those to come down, or when we were waiting, because there's always the people, 10 minutes, like 4 hours later and you're jonesing. So we would do the oxys, and then I start to kind of get pretty turned out on oxys. And by this point, my dad is like begging me to come home. I'm not coming home at all. I'm like flat out refusing. I'm pretty much just like, I'm totally out of control. And I'm not going to school, and I'm smoking crack every night, and I'm doing oxys to come down, and I'm kind of like in this cycle, and I'm staying with this boyfriend. And eventually I go to like a doctor's appointment, and the doctor's like, you've lost 25 pounds. You're in the 7th grade, seventh. Maybe I was in 8th grade. I think it was in 7th grade. He's like, this is a problem. And he wants to do a drug test, and I refuse. And then the child services is called, and a lot of the being in the system kind of is expedited by that.
So how does that, maybe you go to a checkup and then you go to another checkup and he's like, I see you've lost 25 pounds. Like, I don't even remember doctors being aware of anything about me. I guess it's a big loss. And also it's probably obvious that you're on crazy drugs.
Yeah.
And you're supporting your drug habit with the roofing money, I imagine.
Yeah. He's supporting the drug habit. Mm-hmm.
What a crazy fucking situation.
And then we would sometimes like break into abandoned buildings and steal copper too. That was what I mean?
Did they call it Mongo?
No.
You ever hear that?
No.
I just had this weird old guy from the Bronx who said that he called it Mongo.
Why?
I don't know.
What is No, we would, old, New England, there's lots of like old buildings. So we would like go into buildings in the middle of the night with a couple of the roofing guys and him and steal copper, and then go sell the copper. And, there was just.
You're a very worldly little young person at that point.
At this point, yeah.
Were you hanging out with kids your own age at all?
No.
And when did you drop out of school?
So I didn't necessarily drop out of school.
You get kicked out?
Well, there was a year where I got into trouble in my middle school, and so I spent a year going to like a charter school or like an alternative school, like the bad kids school.
Yeah, those schools are the best.
And it was always in the hood. I don't know if it made me less bad. Probably not. Definitely not.
It didn't help. It didn't contribute to anything good.
No. So I was there for a year, and then I went back to my high school. But I was like getting into trouble. I had gotten a DUI. I was on probation. I was truant a lot. So I was missing school. So like the system is like kind of aware that there's stuff going on with me. They're not like quite sure what, because the doctor had required me to take a drug test. I refused the drug test. They called social services or child services. And by the time they come, I'm able to piss clean, because the roofer, who was the one supporting my drug habit, was like, we have to stop.
Because he knew that you'd piss dirty.
Yeah, he knew. And so he would not buy any Coke. And I was like, this fucking sucks. Because I wanted to keep smoking, honestly. And yeah, he cut me off. We like broke up. And
was it like deep codependent kid love?
Yeah.
Like natural born killers. It's a miracle you guys didn't kill anybody.
No, I thought I couldn't survive without him, and he was like cheating on me, and like, it was chaotic. We would like get wasted and fight each other. One night I remember he was like so drunk, he came home and it was snowing. He came to the house, and he we got into a fight, and I punched him in the face. And he bled everywhere, and he took off. And then I woke up the next morning, and he was in bed next to me, and he had no recollection of what happened. I didn't know how he got inside, but he had crawled through a window. But we would fight. He would like, we were like abusive to each other.
And you lived with him at that point?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like essentially. Mm-hmm.
And your mom is gone. Your
Yeah.
dad has you and the little sisters. Your little sister's still at home with the dad.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Glynis is out of control. I've lost her.
The crazy thing is I really don't think that he like came to the realization of how bad it was. Like, I think he was just really like in denial about it. I was kind of like unparented in that sense. And like, I want to give him some grace, because I don't think that he was like willfully like turning a blind eye because he didn't love me, because he does love me. But like he could not face the truth and the reality of what was going on. Like, he could not look at it.
I think that is also common for the generation situation. Like he's a 60-something-year-old guy. His wife left him with 2 girls. He's trying to figure out a new career. He's a postman, for God's sakes. Fucking becomes a boiler room engineer. And meanwhile, you're dating some 23-year-old roofer,
right?
Fucking smoking crack and taking oxys. It's like, you don't want, like, if you believe that, then your life gets infinitely worse immediately.
Yeah, for sure. And he like had never done drugs in his life.
Yeah, my parents didn't believe I was a drug addict until they had to go to see me in detox.
Right.
And they still were like, is this really happening?
Well, I think even at this point, I had already been to detox, or like around this time I went to detox. At 14, I went to detox for the first time because I was required by the court system because I had tested dirty for like cocaine and opiates.
Where?
So I got this DUI when I was 14.
Hold on. How are you driving?
It's
got to be another charge besides a DUI at 14.
No.
Because how do you have a license?
I don't have a license. I don't even have a permit.
So shouldn't there be another charge besides a DUI? Because you're not supposed to be, like, a DUI implies you're like a licensed driver or something.
Yeah, well, no, there wasn't.
Whose car was it?
And
I can't believe this because you got sober at 27 and we're going to be at 14 years old for like 20 minutes. It's like, and your story gets so crazy. So what happened here?
Yeah, so I was 14. I had a girlfriend who was maybe 18. She was a senior in high school. I was in the 9th grade. She had a car. She was a stripper. And
was she a drug addict?
No. She was an alcoholic, probably. I don't know if she was an alcoholic. We were drinking a lot.
And she took you under her wing as older ne'er-do-well youth were doing.
We were just partying together.
Right.
Yeah, we were just partying together. I had like known her for years since she had known me when I was little because neighbor, she was friends with like one of my neighbors or whatever. But it wasn't until I got into high school. So I'm 14, I'm in the 9th grade. She's 18, she's in the 12th grade. She's like a stripper and also a high school student, which is so crazy to think about. But she...
it's horrible for me to think of.
Yeah, no.
Because I was just a parent-teacher night or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
And she, her and I have a fake ID and we're like going to the club. And we're with like 2 boys.
To the strip club?
No,
to like
a nightclub.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was the Hippodrome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Paint me the picture, please.
I think it was the Hippodrome that we were going. No, Irish Times in Worcester, which has since closed down. But we were going to Irish Times in Worcester, which is like a nightclub where a lot of the college students go and all of this stuff. And so I don't know why I was driving. She was super drunk. I was driving her car. The 2 boys are in the car. We had like pre-gamed at either her house or someone's house. We're all super drunk. I get pulled over right off of getting off the exit in Worcester, and we're probably like 6 minutes away from the club from Irish Times, and because I was swerving, and they breathalyze me, and I'm drunk, and then they take me to jail, like the state police barracks, and I have to call like my dad to come pick me up, and he comes and picks me up, and then I have to start going to court for this DUI. But I didn't even have a permit, so like to this day, that thing is not on my record because there was no like license number to associate it with.
It's funny because on Soft White Underbelly, you're like, yeah, I got a DUI when I was 14, and this is like, it's like what happened? So when are you start getting drug tested?
Well, I'm as soon as I'm on probation.
So your dad's aware of the chemicals
once
coursing through your veins.
Well, once I start failing drug tests, yeah, but I think I was just like lying to him. Like, yeah, I did it, but I'm not going to do it again. And he's like, okay, sweetie, you know.
Please don't ever do it again. Yeah.
And but the court system was like, this is like really serious. Like you're 14 years old and you're testing positive for cocaine and opiates. Like this is like a very serious thing. I don't think it was normal. I think maybe weed was more normal for kiddos my age, but like cocaine and opiates, like big deal. So I'm going to court and I know that they're going to inevitably, probably commit me to the state because my attorney tells me, he's like, you're going to be committed to the Department of Youth Services, which is like, I don't know what they call it in New York. In California, they call it Youth Authority. But it's not so much, it's not like DCFS where like a kid is being taken out of the home because there's neglect or the parents aren't carrying it. DYS, Department of Youth Services, is like, it's like parole for kids. It's like the kid is the problem. They're like committing crimes. They've done something terrible. And now they're awarded the state until they're 18 years old. And so I go to court for that last time, and I'm going to all these court dates. And I remember the judge's name was Judge Erskine, and I thought she was like the biggest bitch ever. And in hindsight, she wasn't a bitch at all. She was totally like, hey, this is like really serious, and this kid needs help. So she probably did me like a real solid. But they tell me that I'm going to be committed to the state, and I'm about to go into the courtroom, and I'm like, Dad, I want to go outside and smoke a cigarette. I go outside and smoke a cigarette, and I just take off.
Wow. So you run away.
Yeah.
Where do you go?
I'm like couch surfing. I'm like jumping from place to place. By this point, it's like progressed where I'm like doing oxys every day. I'm snorting heroin. I'm like not even smoking crack anymore. I'm like a full blown opiate addict at this point. And I'm just like kind of like bouncing around, and like I had like a master plan to like run until I aged out, like till I was 18. I'm like, it's only, 3.5 years, 4 years.
It's not the worst. It's not, of all these stories, that's not the worst plan I've heard.
Yeah.
So you're going from spot to spot. You're out of school. Are you communicating with your family at all?
Very, very little. Not with my mom at all. I hadn't been really communicating with her.
How do you keep up with the habit? You have a habit?
Yeah, I definitely have a habit. At the time I was like selling like bundle bags and stuff. So I would get like nothing crazy, like 5 or 6 bundles like fronted to me, and I would like
of heroin.
Yeah, of heroin. I would like sell them. I would probably pay like $50 for them, and I would sell them for $10 a pop. And then I'm like kind of stealing. I'm like sleeping with people in order to like fuel my habit. I'm just like doing whatever I need to do,
I love that like you're 15 and you're selling 50 or 60 bags of heroin all the time, and it's like it's nothing crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's like if you heard that story from a 15-year-old.
Oh, I would be shocked for sure. Yeah. I think at the time I really thought that I was like
a mastermind.
Yeah, and like mature.
Well, in a way
like,
you were. In a way you
I
were.
was because of my life experiences, but like in my mind, I saw myself as being much older than I was. And there was definitely scenarios when I was 15 where I was doing those things, and like I'm no longer like telling people how old I am.
Well, why would you?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're 15.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to like, oh, well, she's whatever.
17, 18 even, yeah.
I mean, like I have my younger daughter has a friend who's from kind of a family that's like
pretty rough.
Who knows? But that kid is very capable of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
She's 7 making macaroni and cheese. Like she can do things that my 15-year-old can't do.
Right.
Because her family is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
So your dad is pretty much like absent. He was absent.
Yeah.
And you had to figure things out.
Yeah.
And now like I'm like putting myself in this whole story. I'm putting myself in your dad's shoes instead of your shoes, which is not great. So when you're couch surfing and you're selling heroin, you're becoming a heroin addict.
Yeah, no. I am a heroin addict. I mean, even before I started sniffing heroin, I was addicted to oxys. And at the time, one of my close friends, before I was like in the system, who lived down the street, his dad had like really severe pain. He had like a morphine pump in his stomach, and me and that kid who'd been friends for years and years and years, nobody I was sleeping with, just a friend who I'd known for years, we would like steal his oxys out of his safe, and he died actually, but the friend,
your friend, how did they die?
Overdose.
It's crazy. Every time you hear about some very sick person with a morphine pump, you're like, oh, I wish I had a morphine.
I know, it's so fucked up.
At this point, 10 years sober, it's like, oh, I wish I had had a morphine pump.
Yeah. So we would just like do his oxys, and then eventually, we would steal enough, and then they would create some other barrier to us getting his oxys, and it was really fucked up. But I'm a full blown like opiate addict for sure. And when's do you remember the first time you went into withdrawal, or did it not? I mean, there's so much heroin in that area of the country. Anyway. Yeah. Well, the very first time I went into withdrawal, it's weird, because I work with an adolescent program, and for the most part, kids don't detox really. Like young kids, even when they're using heavy drugs, for the most part,
They get over it fast.
something biologically in them, like they don't detox like that. Like very rarely do you see a kid that's really like truly detoxing, even if they're using opiates. So like there was a while where like I really was not experiencing any symptoms. And then probably around 15, I like felt like I had the flu. And I had no idea when I was doing the oxys. Like I didn't know oxys were opiates. Like I didn't know OxyContin was an opiate and that opiate was similar to heroin. Like I had no idea the correlation. I knew when I did it, I liked the way it felt. I knew it, helped me come down off the coke. I liked the itchiness. I liked cleaning the house. Like I liked it. I didn't know that it was something that was like physically addicting because I was like so young. Like nobody told me. And I remember the first time I got sick, it like didn't even occur to me to go do opiates because I didn't know that was the solution. And then maybe it happened again. I ended up doing a pill with the friend who lived down the street and I felt better. And I was like, oh my God,
Right.
that was it.
That's the most profound feeling, I think. Getting high is one thing, but getting well is a whole other thing. Like getting high is amazing and all that, but to be sick and then to feel the worst you've ever felt and then feel the best you've ever felt, it's like, oh my, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you don't become a full-on drug dealer at that point, though.
No, I'm just kind of doing what I can to get what I need. Like, I mean, I'm a teenage girl, and I have a mean habit, and I'm like sniffing it at this point because like shooting is bad, but like the more I'm sniffing, the like more I need to do, and it's just like not carrying. Like I can't get enough to like keep up my habit, you know what I mean? And so I'm like finding myself doing more than I can set. Like it's just not working. And that's I think when I like crossed over to starting to shoot it.
And who did you shoot with for the first time? Because that's another thing. It's like when I was a kid, I mean, I didn't do drugs until I was like older, till I was like in my late teens, early 20s. And I knew very much, like I read enough about heroin addicts that heroin was a really bad drug and scary. I don't know how it even happened that I was like, I want to do that. But when you're 15, 16, you're indoctrinated into this drug culture. I'm sure people are saying heroin's bad, but you were smoking crack at 13, so it didn't really matter.
Right. Well, I had already started sniffing it too. And in my mind, when I first started sniffing it and I crossed over from doing pills to sniffing it, I'm like, it's okay because I'm sniffing it. Right. And
I'm not that bad.
Right. It's not that bad because I'm not shooting it. I'm just sniffing it. And then eventually, like, and honestly, pretty quickly, it went from like the shooting just was like not hit, like the sniffing wasn't hitting. And so, yeah, it was a friend from high school, and he shot me up for my first time.
And if you think of any fucked up stories as we go, please let's break into some fucked up story. That doesn't mean I need one. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it in mind.
Am I okay if I like put my knee up?
I mean,
this is weird.
I think it's great. It's fucking crazy though. So let's say you're 16. You're shooting heroin with some kid from school. Is the roofer gone?
Pretty much. So by the time I was like on the run and DYS is looking for me, the roofer's gone. I'm not in that relationship anymore. I still like think I love him, but it's like in and out. I know I can't be in my hometown, and that's where he always was, because if I was in my hometown, I'm gonna get caught. So I'm like all over. I'm like in Worcester. I'm in Boston. I'm taking trains places. I'm just in the streets. And I remember it was fall. And eventually I get caught. I get caught by the police. I'm like in Fitchburg. Shout out to the dirty burg. It is dirty. And I am at McDonald's. And there's this McDonald's in an area of Fitchburg called Clegon. Clegon's like
all these towns sound like made up towns. Clegon and Fitchburg.
It's spelled like Cleghorn though.
Okay.
Clegon, you know what I mean? Because none of the names actually make sense there.
Worcester, Gloucester,
or Leominster, Leominster. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you're in
Clegon.
Clegon, and what happened?
I'm with my best friend Heather. She is not a heroin addict at this point, but we like drink and party together. She picks me up. You know, I'm still like running from the Department of Youth Services and the police. And we go to...
Does she have like a normal family life?
For the most part,
You're like the worst kid in the world.
Yeah, but at this point, a lot of the girls around my age, within a year or two, they kind of like, they're not as like tripped out by like drug use or like alcohol. And I think, and I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think it's like kind of exciting for them.
Of course, it's Glynis.
They're like crazy Glenn.
Glynis is out your house.
It's like she's crazy, but it's like fun, kind of being
wild.
Yeah, being a part of the chaos. But they're not like necessarily like fully engaging in it either. They're like drinking, partying. Now we're going to like college parties. It's like fun,
and they get to feel dangerous, and you get to feel.
Yeah,
normal.
And I'm like selling drugs, right? Exactly. And she picks me up. We had like partied at Fitchburg State College the night before. It was a Halloween party, and I need to pick up. And so I meet my dealer at this McDonald's in Clegon, and I pick up some heroin, and it's not that much. It's like just enough for me to like get well. It's like, a couple bags, maybe a half gram or something like that. And we pull out of the McDonald's parking lot, and we're going, the little rotaries, roundabouts, whatever they call them in different parts of the country. So we like go through this rotary. There's a yield sign or a stop sign or something, and she doesn't fully stop. And a police officer puts his lights on and pulls us over. And I'm like, oh my God, they saw me pick up. I'm like, they saw me pick up. And not only that, I have a warrant. And I think I'm 16 at this point, 15 or 16, give or take. I don't remember the exact dates, but they turn on the lights and they go to pull me over, and she's driving, and I'm like, oh, I have to run. And so he asks her for her license and registration, and he walks back to the car. And when he walks back to the car, I hop out of the passenger seat, and we're like on a hill in Clegon, right near the bad kid school that I went to, the charter school. And I get out and I start running, and I'm like, this guy's old. He's in his 40s. I'm 15. I can outrun this dude. And I was wrong. He was fast as fuck.
He was in great shape.
Yeah, dude. It was. I remember actually the police officers, like once I got arrested, being like, dude, you just tried to outrun the fastest dude like in the department.
You were like, I figured I'd be faster than him.
Yeah, so we're doing this thing, the right, left. Like he's gonna
like
catch
a
me.
A healthy young trooper from
right.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
And he finally like tackles me, and I'm like all cut up on my knees and my hands, but I'm like kind of like wiggling, and he's like, stop resisting. I'm like, I'm not resisting. And he's like, stop resisting. And some motorcyclist on like a Harley, some dude who looked like a Hell's Angel, pulls over, and he's like, do you need help, officer? And he just like slams me.
Wow.
Like I don't know, some good citizen, I guess. And
I was ready for him to be like, leave that girl alone.
I know, you would think, right? No, that's not what happened. He was like, do you need help? And he slammed me onto the ground, and then the cop got me into the cuffs and put me into the cruiser, and I still have heroin on me. And it turns out, had I just been chill and like not ran, nothing would have happened. It was literally over a stop sign or a yield sign, whatever it was. They did not see me pick up heroin. It was all like paranoia. And so,
but you never know what's going to happen. He could have shined his light on you, and you said the wrong thing, and then he's like, what's your name? And then he looks you up something, or he takes you out of the car.
He did ask me my name, and I gave him a fake name. But
because you don't need ID at that point anyway.
No,
yeah, you would have been. You made the wrong decision.
I definitely made the wrong decision. Yeah, I should have just been chill. Because what ended up happening is it turns out if you're tackled by a cop for resisting arrest, that's automatically assault and battery on a police officer. Even if there's any unwanted contact with a police officer, they charge you with assault and battery on a police officer. Which, in hindsight, I understand. That's probably fair. He probably didn't want to tackle a 16-year-old girl. But I end up picking up that, and they charge me as an adult for that. So I'm going to the adult court system, and then I have to go to the juvenile court in Worcester because I have this Department of Youth Services thing hanging over my head, and so I end up going into lockup at that point.
And then how long are you in there for?
I'm in there for like a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in there.
So your whole life changes immediately. And did you talk to your dad when you went in there? And you hadn't seen him for how long?
I don't even know.
Like 6 months, a year, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even the years where...
You should definitely write a book.
Yeah, I'm a terrible writer.
It doesn't matter. It's like you can tell a story.
Yeah.
It's like such a gnarly childhood.
Yeah.
So you go into lockup and you hadn't been familiar with all of your experience.
Well, I had been locked up once before after the DUI thing for a month.
Though.
Well, no, I went to lockup first for like a month or two, and then probably a month. And then I went straight from there to like the detox, the motivational youth recovery place, which doesn't exist anymore. So I had done like a very short period of time in there and then gotten out and went home, used again or whatever. But this is like the first time where I'm like doing time. Like I'm not going home. I don't have a date. I know I'm committed till I'm 18. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I'm going to be locked up till I'm 18. I have no idea.
So is it like adult jail?
It's not quite like adult jail.
But it's not juvie. You did juvie. I remember you describing that on Soft White Underbelly.
Yeah. Well, no, this is juvie.
This is juvie.
Yes, it's juvie for sure. It's like kiddie prison. It's like very, 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 very strict and structured. A lot of behavior modification type stuff. A lot of kind of like mind fucks. Like most of these kids don't have like parents that are present. At best, a lot of them have foster parents. So anything that we wanted, we had to buy, and there's no money. So you buy with points, and your points are based on your behavior. And your behavior is, it can be just straight up bad behavior, getting into a fight, messing around with another girl, whatever, stealing. But also it's like silly stuff. Like you have to sit there and like raise your hand before using the bathroom, and they would like walk by you and walk by you and walk by you and walk by you. And then finally, if they called on you, you had to say it in a very specific way, like, "May I step up to the bathroom?" And they'd say, "Yes, Miss Hodgkinson, you can step up to the bathroom." And then you go to the bathroom. And then when you get out of the bathroom, you have to sit there and stand outside the bathroom. And it was a lot of that. And if you didn't say it right, or if you stepped up to the bathroom without permission, then they would take your points. And so it was like a lot of like behavior mod type stuff. There was girls in there. I remember there was one girl who was like 8 months pregnant. She was 16. She had stabbed someone. And then there was kids like me who were just like punks getting into trouble and had done it too many times. There was kids who had drug problems. There was other kids like me who had been like smoking crack. It sucked, but it taught me how to do time. It also taught me how to like follow directions. And up until this point, I thought like getting in trouble and acting out was like cool. You know what I mean? It was like a little bit of an attention seeking thing. I thought it like gave me clout. And when I went in here, I'm like, oh no, it's like not cool. And like, I don't want to like kind of raise attention. Like I need to like, just like get through this and do what needs to be done and like program and like get through this process. And like, there is no benefit in me like acting out, because it'll just add more time. Well,
before that, acting out really did very little, unless you got caught, and then it was like, oh, I don't like this consequence. But this consequence is way worse.
Yeah, no. It's like a real consequence for sure. So like I got to a place where I got like good at doing time, making the best out of the situation, like really get into a place of acceptance, like being super present. I didn't have a date where I was going to get released. They don't like give you one in the Department of Youth Services. So like, you're just like there, and at the end they have like one giant meeting with like education and like your case manager and your therapist, and like there's like a bunch of people at the table, and then they make a decision on like what your next step is and like how long you're gonna be there for.
Is there using in there?
In this place, no. It was very, 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 very strict. Like they were like turning up our cells like 24/7. There was like almost nothing in the cell. It was just like 2 blocks for the beds and a mattress. And like, in this particular place, there was not. No.
And you're 16 when you go in there?
Mm-hmm.
And up till that point, were you interested in anything besides using?
I mean, I liked soccer growing up. But like, and there was a time where I was using drugs and playing soccer, and for a while it was working. Like I would take a methadone pill and I would just like play the best game I'd ever played.
Performance enhancing methadone.
Yeah, for sure.
No one ever talks about how good methadone is for soccer.
I know, exactly. Yeah. But then like I was like smoking Newport hundreds like a maniac. And so I'm like hacking up along. And
but you had like no interest in like music or any kind of subject.
No, I mean, I did like school and I was smart, but I couldn't show up consistently enough to do well. So like I couldn't get up in the morning. I wasn't going regularly. I would fall behind and then I would get to a place of like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll just figure it out. And like, I would just kind of like avoid.
And you were like interested in you being like a step ahead of everybody. If it was like hustling or pulling shit off.
Yeah, it had just kind of, I was like a full blown addict. Like at that point, by the time I was in Department of Youth Services, like that was my life. But I did have goals before that. Like I did want to graduate high school. I did want to be a college student. Like I wanted to be an attorney at one point. Like there was definitely things I wanted to do. And I mean, you probably get this. How long have you been sober?
10 years.
Okay. So 10 years ago, I don't know how old you were or like how much life you had lived.
I was 41.
Okay, so at 41, do you remember getting sober and being like, "Oh, I wasted so much time. I'm never going to be able to catch up"?
Yeah, I still feel like that.
Yeah. So I felt like that at 27 when I inevitably got sober, but I also felt like that at like 16. Well, I'm like, "Oh my God, I've wasted."
When you're 16, it's kind of true for that moment,
yeah,
because you're out of school and you've had consequences that people twice your age haven't had,
right?
And you've seen shit that people twice your age haven't seen. And like when you're in there, are you learning like how to run it? Like, is that a thing? Is like doing time as a 16-year-old who's been on her own for a few years, like, are you like interested in the tricks of getting by, or are you like, I want to find recovery, I want to get my shit together?
So when I'm in lockup, I'm like still scheming for sure. But also I did have a little bit of clarity as well and insight, like, and I started to actually be honest. Like I had never straight up told my dad, like, I'm a drug addict and I'm addicted to opiates. And I got honest. I mean, the case manager knew, she had my drug test, but I would just deny. And I was just like, I'm a drug addict. Like I need help. Like I can't stop. And so I kind of like the jig was up type deal. But I still like kind of had alternative motives of like scheming and bobbing and weaving and like, you know, maybe getting through this thing and doing what needs to be done. But instead of sending me to like a state facility, which was primarily geared towards like behavioral issues, they actually made the decision to send me to a girl's halfway house that was primarily geared towards substance use disorder. It was like a primary substance use place, which made sense because my behavioral issues were a direct result of my drug use. I wasn't just like punching walls out of anger or like, you know, stabbing people and getting into fights. Like anything that was happening, like the DUIs or fighting, was a direct correlation of me being under the influence of some substance or trying to continue to use substances. And so my case manager at the time, who was assigned to me through DYS, was like, okay, we're going to send her to this. And it was a really good decision for sure, because I left there after about a year and a half and I went directly into like a structured all girls recovery home.
And were you like in meetings then?
Oh yeah. 7 days a week. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. No, well, I was coming from lockup. Most of these girls were coming from home because they'd smoked too much weed and their parents were like tripping out. Like I was a real drug addict.
You're like cutting through them like a knife through butter.
Yeah, I was a real drug addict, and I had come from lockup where I couldn't use the bathroom without raising my hand for 35 minutes. You know what I mean? I couldn't make phone calls. I mean, like I hadn't gone outside in a year and a half. I hadn't been outdoors like at all.
It must have been like, this is the best place I've ever been. Oh,
dude. And it was like kind of a behavior modification place too. It was like very structured, like no phone, no boys, no computers. And I'm like, wait, we can do our own laundry and go outside for walks? This place is great. And then they were taking us to meetings. I was like, these meetings are amazing. Like I had like a newfound sense of like willingness. And I started to like, definitely some seeds were planted for sure. And there were also other girls around my age. Not all of them were like real drug addicts like me or at the level, but there were a few. And I suddenly had some kind of sense of connection to girls that were my age who had gone through some of the same things I had gone through. And I was like almost reconnecting to like being a child. Like we would laugh and we would like giggle and we would like have fun and like things shifted. And I'm like, okay, this like sobriety thing, like not so bad maybe.
And then you went to law school and got a law degree.
I wish.
And it all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out. No, that did not happen. But a lot of seeds were planted, and I don't know if I would have gotten sober when I did had those seeds not been planted then.
So what happened?
Well, so I stayed there for 8 months until approximately a month or a month and a half before my 18th birthday. Still in the Department of Youth Services, but I'm able to go home. They like sign off and they're like, okay, she can go home. Reintegration before she ages out of the system.
How is your relationship with your dad and your sister? And had you reconnected with your mother at all and all that?
Not really, no. She had came a few times because it was like
part of the program.
Yeah. But I didn't want anything to do with her. I wouldn't talk to her.
You were super angry.
Yeah. Really, really angry. I was just shut down. I wouldn't even give her the time of day. I would share absolutely nothing. I wouldn't call her. I wouldn't tell her. I mean, I was just totally shut off from her. My relationship with my dad is good. I mean, my dad was a big enabler and I was very manipulative but like I'd always been close to my dad and you know, he was like pretty heartbroken and like, he just like wanted me to be okay. My sister, I mean, she was like, I fucking told you. I told you, people. And we have a really great relationship today, but it was very, very challenging for a lot of years.
Rocky moment.
Yeah, I mean, she's my sister. She was my younger sister. She knew what was going on. She was like, she knew what was happening with me. And like nobody really would like acknowledge her or listen to her. And like I would like lie and gaslight her. Every time I was around, she was like checking, like barging into the bathroom, you know what I mean? Because I'd be in there for 2 hours, like, and that ended up continuing for years. Even after I got sober, the first few times I was there, I would just take a shit with the door open, just so she knew, you know what I mean? Because like really, like even the first few years of sobriety, it was like
rebuilding trust, or even just building it, because your sister was so little when you started using.
100%.
So 8 months go by, and what happens? Like what goes wrong?
Well, so 8 months go by, I'm in treatment. I get out of treatment, I go home, I'm on like the bracelet, like the ankle bracelet until my 18th birthday. And I'm having to go to, the office, the Department of Youth Services office multiple times a week. I'm testing, I'm doing like group therapy, all this stuff.
And the idea is like when you're 18, you can rejoin society, having learned something and been through something.
Right, exactly. And I think that could have happened. And I know it did for some of the girls that I was in treatment with. Like some of them ended up being okay. They are okay. But I like came to terms with the idea that I was like a drug addict for sure. And I knew that like I could not use drugs and I didn't have intentions of using drugs. But I like didn't believe that like alcohol was a part of that like problem. I was like, I'm 18.
I want to be normal. I want to have fun like everybody has fun.
Yeah, and I ended up going to the community college and doing like a dual enrollment program, which gave me the opportunity to actually get my diploma rather than a GED and also get an associate's at the same time. And so I'm going to school. Everything's fine. I'm making friends. There's other kids that are in there. And I start drinking after a few months. At first, I'm going to recovery meetings still. I'm like talking to people in my sober community. I'm keeping connected to the recovery home. I'm like calling regularly. And then the drinking starts and I'm starting to drink.
Had you drank when you were young or had you just used?
Oh, yeah, I drank a bunch.
Okay, you drank both.
Yeah, I drank a bunch. But like the drugs started so closely after the alcohol that like those became like the primary issue. And like, I think it was like it was easy to see how bad the drugs had affected my life and the relationships. The alcohol, it wasn't quite as clear at that young age. I'm like, yeah, I got drunk and I got that DUI, but like.
You was 14.
Yeah.
You don't want to believe that. You don't want to believe that you're an alcoholic of the helpless and hopeless variety.
Yeah, correct.
When you're fucking 18.
Also, I don't know that it was never really broken down to me. And if it was, I just didn't hear it or I don't remember.
It was broken down to me over and over and over from 25 to 41, and I just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It did not mean a thing to me until it did.
Right.
Which is the craziest part of getting sober.
Yeah.
Because there's no understanding of what the fuck changed. Why am I hearing this now when I've been told this for 15? I was told it for 13, 14 years, and I did not absorb I just didn't care. I didn't want it.
Yeah.
And like, you're 18. It's like I was older, but I was just like, nah. But you're 18 and you're like, I hope I can have fun.
Right.
I hope I can get away with this. So you're 18 and tell me what happened.
Well, I'm 18. I start drinking and it's fun. Like nothing goes wrong.
Right.
It's like I'm like having fun.
You're
I'm
not selling bundles of heroin.
No, I'm not selling bundles of heroin. I'm like connecting with my peers, people my age. I feel like I have like a sense of community that I didn't feel like I had when I was younger. And like things are like pretty chill. And I'm like going to school and like, I'm like, okay, like life is good. We're good. And for a few months, maybe 4, I don't know how many months. I'm just guessing, but not too long. Everything's fine. And then one of the kids that I was in school with, 2 of the kids, they're doing pills. And by this point, like it was like the last of the Mohicans when it came to the Oxycontins.
Right.
And so like the pills that I had paid like $5 a pill for are
like
now
$80,
$100 a pill.
Right.
And he's getting, 30s instead, per 30s or whatever. And I start, like kind of experimenting with that a little bit. I say experimenting like I'd done plenty of them. But I do those like maybe 2-3 times. And I remember like from those times I was in treatment when I was a kid, they would say stuff like, you pick up right where you left off. And I remember being like, pfft. And I mentioned that there were some withdrawal symptoms. They were not that severe when I was a kid. Like there were like flu-like symptoms, not that severe. Something shifted when I turned 18 years old. It was like something changed in my body where I did pills for like 2, maybe 3 times, and they were not hitting my tolerance. It was like good that first day, puked a little bit. Second day, didn't do anything, an 80, and it's like $100 a pill, right? And I'm like, fuck this. And then I shoot some heroin. And within 4 days, I'm dope sick. And I'm like, holy shit. Everything they said was true.
That's crazy. I wonder if it's physiological or also just like you're aware of it. Like when you're young.
I think it's both.
It's got to be both.
I'm telling you, like working in the adolescent treatment space, I can probably count on my hands how many kiddos we've actually had to send to a detox.
But I would imagine before you decide, you make the decision of being a heroin addict, kicking isn't like this fear. Like the fear of kicking becomes everything to a heroin addict.
Right.
I mean, when I kicked smoking cigarettes, I was scared of going into withdrawal like it would be heroin withdrawal. Because once you're in it, it's the only thing you don't want to do.
Right.
So that's an interesting
Yeah,
study
I'm
do.
sure it's like physical and mental. And
Totally.
I'm not a scientist, but I'm sure that there's data about like kids' ability to like bounce back physically. But there's definitely a mental component.
Dopey Nation, if you have any physiological data around this, please write an email to dopeypodcast@gmail.com. And Glynis, when you find out the medical behind this, you got to come back on and we got to go over some studies.
Okay.
Figure this out.
2 professionals just chatting it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're fucking 18. You try to drink normally. You're taking pills. It doesn't work. And then you're shooting dope.
Yeah, back to shooting dope pretty
And
quickly.
you're like, fuck. But at the same time, you're like, maybe this will go differently this time. You're still very young.
No, at this point, I'm like, oh, it's over. After that, when I got dope sick, after like the 3-4 days that I was using opiates straight in a row, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. I knew it.
And you're like, at that point, are you like, I'm just in. I'm doing this.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm fucked. It is what it is. And I end up dropping out of the school. Can't keep up. You know what I mean? Don't get the diploma. I run pretty hard for like 6 or 7 months, and then I like want to stop, and it's bad, and I end up getting on the methadone clinic. And yeah, I got on the methadone clinic, and I was on the methadone clinic for like a year. I mean, there was a couple stints of detox in between that where I would like go into a place, go for 5, 6, 7 days. It was like a hospital-like place. I would get out and I would find myself still kicking, and then I would get high.
Sure.
Yep. And I did that maybe 3 or 4 times during this like time period before I was like, well, I guess I just need to get on the methadone clinic.
How did you keep up with the habit at that age?
Oh, at 18? Oh, I got a job at Victoria's Secret. It lasted 2 days. I was nodding out during the training videos and didn't take too kindly
Just
to that.
like selling retailed Victoria's Secret?
Yeah. It lasted literally 2 days. I didn't even make it past the training videos in the back. And then I just started working at the strip club.
Was it the same strip club that your older friend had worked at?
I don't know. No, it was not.
So how did you you see a strip club and you're like, I could work there? Like, how does that happen?
Oh, well, I was a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
I failed this first job that I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, oh, I'm not cut out for this. I just need to just go do what I need to do and I'll make better money. And that's what I start doing.
But I think and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, again, I'm a man and, I didn't look very good when I was younger or whatever.
10 was your peak, right?
I peaked at 10. I definitely couldn't been dancing. How does it occur to you that you could do it? Like, how did you know? I guess you're worldly. You've been, you were, sexually active very young.
Yeah.
Probably objectified your whole life.
For sure.
In some way or another.
I think all those years, even before I was 18, I inherently knew that I could use my body as a tool to get what I wanted, which is sad, but it's true. And I'd been doing that even before I was an adult. And I cleaned up for a little bit and life had gotten okay. Then I start using again and I try to get this normal job and I saw it as like very black and white, like, I'm just a piece of shit. Like, I'm never going to be able to work a normal job. I'm never going to be a normal person. I'm never going to be able to do the 9 to 5. Like, I'm not capable of getting sober. I'm not capable of making a paycheck. And I'm just a piece of shit. And so I just had this idea that it was all or nothing. And so all was lost. So I might as well just say, fuck it.
So was it all the negative side? It wasn't I'm attractive and
yeah, it was that too.
I can do this and make was there any part of it that was empowering in any kind of way? Is that a ridiculous question?
No, it's not a ridiculous question at all. There was definitely, in the beginning, it was just fuck it, I don't care. But there was definitely, as I kind of developed in this space, this career, if you will, I definitely saw it. I convinced myself of this story that I was self-supporting, independent, free-loving, and that was definitely a narrative that I believed on a deep level at the time. Now in hindsight, not to say that this isn't true for other women, but for me, if I'm being honest with myself and my experiences, I would not have been doing that if I wasn't a drug addict. But I convinced myself otherwise, that it was an empowering experience. And I guess it could have been, and again, it could be for some women, but it definitely wasn't for me. But when I was in it, I really kind of bought in. I'm very good at buying into whatever situation or circumstances I'm in, getting into a place where okay, this is what we're doing. And it's blinders. And I do that throughout my life, whatever period of life I'm in, I buy in, I commit to the bit, and that's what it is,
So you become a stripper.
Yeah.
And you're successful at it.
Yeah, I'm making good money. Mm-hmm. I'm on the methadone clinic, working nights at the strip club. Life is great. How
long were you on the methadone clinic?
So the first time, I was on it a couple times. That first time I was on it for about a year and a half. I did stop using.
You did it right.
Yeah, no, I legitimately stopped. I really wanted to stop using, and I did stop using. And I started off at I think at my highest, I was on 85 or 90 milligrams. And then I actually started to slowly go down, and I actually started to build somewhat of a normal life. I got into a relationship with a really nice guy, not a drug addict, normal dude, owned a house, moved out to the Boston area. Life was actually pretty good. I got off the clinic. I tapered down, got off the clinic, transitioned over to Suboxone, was on Suboxone for a little bit, tapered off of that. And I'm we're good. But this whole time I'm I go back to this drinking thing where oh, it's chill if we drink. And he drinks, but he's a normal dude.
Were you at the strip club at that point?
I was at first, but then he's you can't be at the strip club. This is not chill. You know what I mean? I want to have a relationship. So I stopped working at the strip club. I start bartending, and I'm serving and I'm working at different bars in the city. And I get my GED. And things are okay for a second, but then I fall into the thing again where I start drinking more, and then I start shooting dope again. And I'm in this relationship with this person who worked in the law enforcement space, and it was he was not okay. It wasn't chill. And so he would like come home, search my shit. I'd be like passed out. He was working overnights, and he would find my drugs and my paraphernalia. And then finally he's like, you have to go to treatment. I go to detox, 2 weeks, get out, get high again. And the relationship ends.
And then you're like, fuck it. I'm just going to take care of myself, make my money.
Go back to the strip club.
And what's the culture in the strip club like?
The culture.
Like, is everybody high? Is it all drug dealers? Is it like, are you totally naked? Like, is it very dangerous?
Yeah.
What is it like?
Well, so
in my stripping career, it was really like cool and easy. Everybody loved me. I did really well. No, I don't know what it's like to be a stripper.
Have you ever been to a strip club?
Very few. Like there was a shitty, horrible strip club near here called Billy's Topless on 22nd and 6th.
Yeah.
And I was always like, what's that? I've been to a strip club probably like 4 times in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the culture is. And we've had not a lot of women to really divulge. So, take us in to be a heroin addict working in a strip club.
Well, so I'm at the time working at a strip club in the Worcester area. Called Centerfolds 2000s, and it's like there's some girls that are on drugs, but not all. And like it wasn't openly doing it, and it's not fully nude. I'm like making some money, but then I hear of like, oh, these like really crazy strip clubs in Providence, Rhode Island, where it's like fully nude and you can make all of this money, and I tried going to detox a few times in between and stopping again. I ended up getting on the methadone clinic again. And I start working at these clubs in Providence, Rhode Island, which were like, it was a free for all. You know what I mean? There were no rules. And some of the girls are definitely on drugs. I'm on drugs. I'm like shooting up in the bathroom. I'm like getting caught by the house mom on a regular basis. She's suspending me. She's like, you got to go to detox. So I'm going to another state facility. I'm getting out. Then I'm doing it again. And it's like this like cycle where it's like totally just like a free for all. It was a crazy place. But I'm making a lot of money. Crazy amounts of money for, a 19-year-old girl, 20-year-old girl.
How much money?
At the time, I'm like making like, this is well over 10 years ago, probably almost 15 years ago. I'm making like $2,000 in a night. A slow night's like $900.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so my rent was like $900. I would make my rent on a slow night. So I would be able to just like, I had like a 3 or 4 gram a day habit at that point, and I'm just like doing
just heroin, no coke or both.
No, just heroin. Yeah. Now I'm just like a full blown. That's all I'm doing. I'm barely even drinking.
Right.
And yeah, I just have a mean habit.
I feel like on Soft White Underbelly, you described it as a brothel.
It pretty much was a brothel.
So what does that mean? Like I've never. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter in my experience.
Yeah. So in Providence years ago, I don't know the exact law, but I'm sure someone could look it up. There were, it was pretty open in Providence, Rhode Island, like in the massage parlors and in the strip clubs where like people were allowed to like pay for sex in some way, shape, or form. And
like turn the other, like look away.
I think it was legal.
Wow. So prostitution was legal in Providence, Rhode Island?
Indoor prostitution.
But
so like
outdoor,
not on the street.
Right. That's amazing. So there was like somehow legal sex clubs or something.
Pretty much. There were strip clubs, but yeah, it was crazy. That law changed while I was working, but obviously the culture and the dynamic of the clubs didn't change, and like girls started to get busted and undercovers. It would be on the news of like girls getting busted and all this stuff. But it was like, it was a brothel. Yeah. I mean, people would go into the champagne room for 15 minutes and it was, $400.
Is that where you did your first sex work, in that place?
Yeah.
And what was
at the time? I kind of was like, it's not sex work. I'm a dancer, but like it was.
Were you a good dancer? Like, did you feel you felt confident?
Yeah, it was. I was pretty good. I could like do some cool stuff. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Was the sex work terrifying, or was it like, I'm a drug addict and I'm just doing it?
Yeah. I think maybe the first time there was some nerves, but then it was like a means to an end.
And
like,
you were in the culture.
Yeah.
It's like once you're in the culture, it's like, this is what we do.
Yeah, this is like what we do. It's normal. Yeah, it was the thing. I remember there was this like, I think we're still friends on Facebook. There was this like lady who would like sit outside of the champagne room and like time and accept the money. And she was like this older woman. She was like in her 60s and she was very sweet. And she like, it was just like what we did. You know what I mean? Like it was just a part of it.
It's an industry. It's the world's oldest profession, people say. It's a lot. There's a lot of shame around it. There's a lot of judgment. And like, when I heard you describe it, it wasn't your favorite thing to do, but there's no reason, like this old woman was enmeshed in the culture.
And yeah, she wasn't doing it. She was fine. I mean, house mom wasn't doing it. It was just
I wonder what her story was though. You know, maybe she had done it at some point.
Maybe.
Because she was in the thing.
She messages me on Facebook sometimes. I should ask her.
She's like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're doing well.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So what happens then?
Well, so I meet I get into a relationship with another like relatively normal guy. Nice guy, not abusive, not a drug addict, likes to drink, likes to party, but like normal.
But does he know you're shooting heroin? And
No. He does not know I'm shooting heroin. He knows something. It starts off as just like fun. We're partying and we're drinking and like hanging out and we hook up and it's all fine. But at a certain point, he is like, something is up with her. Because when you spend a lot of time in the bathroom, people know something's up when you do it all the time. Like they know something weird is going on, but like it never occurred to him that it was heroin.
When you fall asleep during dinner, it's like something is
right. I'm just so tired. You know what I mean? I'm just blinking, like the ridiculous things that we say. But he's like, I think he thinks I'm doing coke. That's what he told me after. Like I thought you were like doing coke or something in the bathroom, because like that made more sense to him. He's from like, you know, bougie Connecticut. Like it just like didn't occur to him that I could be shooting dope.
Did he know that you were what your living was and all that?
Yeah,
Okay,
he knew that.
So he didn't know, but he just didn't know what was going on.
No, he did not. And I pick up another charge at some point.
What was that?
Possession
Of heroin.
Possession of heroin. I'm going to court. I'm failing drug tests.
How did you get caught that time?
I was pulled over by a state trooper, and I tried to use the card, like the ex-boyfriend law enforcement card, which was a fucking mistake. Turns out they all know each other all throughout the state, and he was like, I fucking know him. Like, he was so angry that I did that, and we weren't even together anymore. Yeah, it was really fucked up. And
wait, did he know that this cop's ex-girlfriend was a heroin addict? And
he knows now because he just pulled her over and found heroin on her.
So he took you were like driving erratically. He takes you out of the car.
Yeah.
And he searches you and finds heroin.
Yep.
And it's powder, and you buy it by the gram, not by the bundle.
No.
And then what does it look like in a gram? Is it a plastic bag?
Yeah. So I had gotten to a point where I was buying a lot more, and like the bundles just didn't even make sense. And so on the East Coast, they have fingers, which is like 10 grams of heroin, right? In a shotgun casing. And it looks kind of like a finger.
I'm from the East Coast, and I've never done fingers.
Really?
No, but I was poor. I would just buy bundles. I remember I had one guy who would sell me grams, but that was very rare.
Oh, yeah. I no more bundles, yeah.
So fingers, what shotgun casing? Explain
Like
that.
a shotgun casing of a gun, and they would like
jam it with heroin.
Yeah, jam it with heroin, take it out, and it would be like in the shape of like a finger.
Nice.
Yeah. So you could either buy a whole finger, or you could buy, you know, a gram or 2 grams off the finger. They would just like cut it off with a razor blade.
It's like I didn't even do heroin. It was incredible.
Really?
I mean, I did a shit ton of heroin. I never saw fingers. No one's ever carving fingers off cases and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So you have a bag with, how much did you have on you when they?
I don't remember. Maybe it was 2 grams or something.
You had needles on you too?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah.
And then
he arrests me, and I get out on bond. I'm going to court, and then I get it dropped. But I'm on sheriff's department or something like that, like a suspended sentence. I have to stay on the straight and narrow. Sheriff's department, it was like equivalent of drug court in Massachusetts. So like you're having to show up every day. It's like an IOP type situation that's ran by the probation department, and you're having to test constantly. And I like can't stay clean. I'm like failing constantly. And so I go to detox again. I'm like, look, I'm in detox. Don't send me to jail. And they're like, okay. And then I get out of detox and I use again, and I can't go to the drug court. And so now there's a warrant out for my arrest. The boyfriend is moving to Texas for work. He asked me if I can come. He figures out that I am in fact on heroin. He like goes through a makeup bag, finds syringes, totally freaks out, like has no, like I think one pokes him. He's like, do I have AIDS? You know, is it over? You know, it's like totally shocking to him. And
needles really scare people that aren't drug addicts.
Yeah.
Needles are very
for sure
polarizing.
Super scary. Yeah. So he's like, what do we do now? We've only been dating for like 2-3 months. And he's like, I'm moving to Texas. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, yes. And my plan is to like escape my heroin addiction, escape the law, get sober, clean up. I go to detox one more time right before we go. I end up AMAing from detox, getting loaded, picking up another charge, using my sister's social and last name and just doing a bunch of fucked up shit.
You just had it memorized just in case.
Yep. And she's pregnant.
Your sister.
And she's not a drug addict. Yeah.
Did they come looking for her?
She ends up getting pulled over after I already moved to Texas. And like, she had no idea I had done that. And she was like, she thought it was some scumbag that I was like around. She had like some ideas of who it could be.
Somebody had done it and it couldn't have been you.
Right. And then they mention a tattoo of mine, and it like all kind of like washes over her in that moment. Like, and she's like pulled over like 8-9 months pregnant. It was really fucked up. And she never says anything to me about it because she's so happy I'm out of Massachusetts.
Did you talk to her about it?
Later I did.
Eventually you did.
Yeah, I did later, but she found out it was me, and I had all of this like shame of like being a drug addict, the law looking for me, fucking over my little sister who I love, and just like I just was like consumed with like shame.
It's crazy because like we can do 100 wrong things and kind of be like, I'm still going. It's okay. And then one thing happens and then everything else is like, oh my God, I can't believe this was my life.
Right.
So.
Well, I never like fucked over my little sister. Like I had like lied and not been honest, but I had never like stolen from her, like robbed her.
Well, that's
her.
also like don't you think that's also just the acceleration of drug addiction?
For sure.
You accelerate and then all of a sudden you're like specifically fucking over your family and your friends.
Right.
Doing things that you never thought could happen.
100%.
Because all there is you in the habit at that point.
Right.
And trying to get away with it or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you clean up before you go to Texas. You AMA and you start using, and you have a habit in Texas.
Well, I have a habit going to Texas.
Where did you move to in Texas?
Dallas. So I moved to Dallas, and I kick out there cold turkey. It was not fun. I kick cold turkey, and I end up like drying out for a little bit there. I'm like in the burbs, nice guy. You know, he
normal
has a
life, whatever. For a second.
Yeah, pretty normal.
No meetings or anything.
No.
You were just like, fuck this. I'm going to pretend.
I was still drinking. Again, that was a thing that
right.
I like wasn't willing to like look at or give up because like the severity of my drug addiction was just so clear and obvious. And to me, like my alcoholism was not. Like it was just like one thing I was not willing to consider. And I would use the fact that when I was using drugs, I haven't even drank in like 2 years. Cause like when I'm using opiates really heavily, I won't drink. As soon as I stop using opiates and drugs, I'm suddenly like drinking 24/7, you know? So I would like use that as like a story and a narrative to like prove to myself that I was not in fact like an alcoholic and that alcohol wasn't my problem.
I feel like that's something that I hear about all the time, and that it's like, I wish there was a way to tell drug addicts like that drink. Everyone tries to warn people, but nobody knows. And it's so hard to learn anything without experiencing it.
So hard. There was like a disconnect from the first drink always leading to a drug. And like in like recovery rooms and 12-step programs, we talk about like abnormal reactions to alcohol, right? Like it turns out shooting dope in your neck is an abnormal reaction to alcohol. But like there was a disconnect of that like drink leading to me like putting the needle in my neck. Like there was just like some disconnect from those two things being connected. But every time I was able to get any semblance of sobriety, whether it was like a week or a month, it always started with a drink for me, never ended with a drink. Always started with a drink though. And I could not make the connection. Couldn't make it.
That's interesting. Because I really didn't drink. Like I didn't drink. When I'd clean up a little bit, I wouldn't turn to alcohol. I would turn to weed. And it was the same type of deal. It was the same type of deal. But it's weird because there is no like Cali sober around alcohol.
Right.
Like it's like I tried to just smoke weed for a chunk. And like I couldn't do it, you know, but it's really just like your brain. I always saw it as like force fields. Like it's the idea of a force field that lets one thing in and keeps something else out is too sophisticated for my weak mind.
Yeah.
I just need to be totally fucking protected or else I'm not going to make it.
It's 100% true. Yeah. There was just like some disconnection. And the truth is like when I was just drinking, like I was drinking a lot. And like I had a bunch of DUIs, all alcohol related, like when drunk. I had like gotten into a bunch of accidents. I had totaled a shitload of cars. Like in the grand scheme of things, if I had really looked at the big picture, like there was definitely a problem in relation to alcohol. It's just I wasn't like a daily drinker. So I wouldn't like wake up in the morning and take a shot 7 days a week. So I'm like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic.
Because you didn't drink the way you used heroin.
Right.
Because you'd wake up in the morning and take a shot every day.
100%.
Yeah, it's different. It's a much different kind of life and headspace and substance.
Right.
All right, so you go to Texas, you're drinking, you're trying to normalize, you're trying to be a normal like woman in a relationship and relocate and start over. And doing it without alcohol and without drugs and without recovery it sounds impossible.
Impossible.
So what did you do?
Well, so I got to a place where I was so severely depressed, I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't shower. I couldn't like do anything. And I remember like my boyfriend at the time being like, just get out of bed. Like, just will yourself up. And like, I just came to the conclusion that something was like clinically wrong with me, that I like was like clinically depressed, like generalized anxiety disorder, like all of the drugs that I had done something irreparable to my brain. Yeah. And I was like, I need to see a psychiatrist. Like something's wrong with me. I really can't do this. Now I know today it was just like untreated alcoholism, but
thank God.
Yeah, for me, because I don't have any kind of diagnosis. I don't take any medications today. I know there's people out there that do, but I don't. And I can get out of bed and shower every day. 100% sober. Crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. But like, it was like very, very hopeless. And so eventually I go see a psychiatrist. I start taking benzos. I'm drinking again.
Because you have anxiety. They give you benzos.
Yeah.
How much did they give you?
Not very much. It was like 0.25 of Klonopin.
Okay. But that's enough to like trigger.
Well, I'm taking
You're
10.
drinking.
Yeah,
and you're taking 10 and you're drinking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like setting things off. And then, something happens. I come home to visit Massachusetts. My sister picks me up. I end up relapsing, overdosing within 12 hours of being back home in Massachusetts. And I wake up in state prison. No idea what happened. It had been 2 or 3 days, but I had taken like benzos, and I think I had maybe gotten like a bag with fentanyl when it was first starting. And I have a new charge. Plus I have the old charge that I had been on the run from, a new possession charge. And
what was the new charge?
Possession.
Okay.
Yeah, possession. I had absconded for over like a year and a half. I was on the run. So they sent me to MCI Framingham, which is like the women's state prison there. And I don't think...
In Texas?
No, in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, you get busted back in Massachusetts.
Yeah. And...
it's like Framingham doesn't sound like Texas to me.
No,
that sounds like a cockamamie, Massachusetts
Yeah,
town.
it is a cockamamie, Massachusetts town. Yeah, Framingham. And then I spent some time there, and I get out, and they put me in a program again. They put me in.
And the guys in Texas, did you break up with him?
No, he was like, "What the fuck happened?" Like things were like pretty chill. I was bartending. Things had gotten like a little bit better. Like I wasn't shooting heroin. I was supposed to go visit for a week, and before the sun went down, I like overdosed and end up in prison. And he's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "What is happening?" You know?
Like, this is kind of what happens to me.
But he doesn't know that.
No, but you
like, yeah.
At that moment, are you like, oh my God, it's all true?
Yeah.
It's so funny when the pieces start coming together.
Because I'm 21 at this point. Yeah, and
you're still so young.
Yeah, I'm 21.
But you've been going since you're fucking 12.
Yeah, I'm in prison. I'm with a bunch of chicks with no teeth. You know what I mean? Like, it's like gnarly. I'm like, oh man, this sucks. And I don't know how long I'm going to be in there. And they, one of the charges is dropped, another one's dropped, and they like essentially like let me off because what I had told them is I left, yes, but I could not stay sober in Massachusetts. Like, and I think there is some truth to that. But I don't think that was the only problem. As we know, like geographical changes really aren't effective for most.
Rarely effective.
Rarely.
So how long were you in prison for?
I don't know, 6-8 months. I had these 2 charges, 2 different courthouses. I go to one courthouse. They end up dropping the charge. And the judge that drops the charge happens to be filling in at the other courthouse when I go to court that day. That's not the usual place. And he drops the charges. And the reason that they drop the charges is because my dad, my sister, the boyfriend, they show up and they're like, if you put her on probation and she has to stay in the state of Massachusetts, she's fucked. Like, please just like let her off so she can go back to Texas. She was doing much better there.
Right. This geographic's really going to work.
Yeah.
We know geographics don't usually work, but this one's going to work.
For sure. And I get off and I get high in Massachusetts for a few more months. It gets cold. It's November. I'm on the streets.
When you're in prison, were you using?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
And how was that? How did you use? What was the story?
Girls would come in with shit. In state prison when I was there, I don't remember there being any Pruno. The next time I went to prison, there was lots of Pruno. And if there was Pruno, like, I just wasn't, like, I didn't know enough about all of that quite yet. But there was definitely girls that would come in with drugs, or we were like on the drug unit. You know what I mean? So it was like rehabilitation within the jail.
Did you ever make Pruno?
Yeah, later.
How did you make it?
I worked in the kitchen. So we would like smuggle like oranges, apples.
This is when you get the real bid.
Yeah.
Later on.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. We can move forward. So you get out. You have no real interest in recovery.
No.
And you have no real.
In my mind, there's like a battle. Like, hey, I want to do better. I have this boyfriend who loves me. He's a good guy. I have this nice life. I have this great opportunity. Like, at the time, like, I had money that my grandmother had like she wasn't a rich woman, but she had like put away like, you know, a couple $100 a month for my entire life to be used for college. I had this like opportunity to like go to school and like do something. And I really wanted to do that. But then there was this other side of me where like, it was like a devil angel thing where like, I just could not like let go of all the things that were necessary to let go of in order for me to like not inevitably get high. Like, I've described it before. It's like a magnet. Like a physical like magnet just like pulling you. Like it's almost like as if you don't have a choice. Like you've like been hooked by like a fishing hook and it's like reeling you in. It's like something just inside me just couldn't do what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to show up differently. Like I wanted so bad to just like be a nice girl, a nice daughter, a loving sister, like a good aunt, a college student. And like I had the capability and I was like the classic, like you have so much potential, you know what I mean? Like why do you keep fucking this up? And I like really wanted to live up to everybody else's expectations. I really did, but like I couldn't.
No, you're a drug addict. It's like the magnet, whatever it is, the love of not being in your head, the ease of how it feels to be gone. Like I needed that. I never wanted anything else.
Right.
Like whenever I had a consequence, it was like I was never interested in seeing that through. I was only interested in how could I get back to using, because that was the only place that I felt okay.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. And I also had this story, this like narrative of like the like girl who was abandoned, like the mom problem. And it was like, I still like won't communicate with my mom, and this like monkey's on my back.
This resentment. This
like deep seated resentment. And it's like spilling off into every relationship I have, right? I have like this pattern of like getting in romantic relationships with like genuinely nice, good-hearted people, and fucking it up and like making this like belief I have about myself of like being unlovable, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I like push them away or I do things that are like unforgivable, you know?
Well, because you came from this place, everything was defined. It's like I made a joke at the beginning that you can blame your mother for your drug addiction, but a resentment like that when you're 21 years old, it's what we hear about in a meeting all day, every
100%.
day, and you were living it so acutely.
Yeah,
like it's different. Like the
oh, for sure,
and like that's kind of like a good reason why mothers shouldn't leave their kids. Like I'm not, your mother had her circumstance and I'm not blaming your mother, but that's a fucking horrible load for you to carry. And the thing that made you feel better was heroin.
Yeah.
And heroin really makes you feel better until it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. And this like just became very much my story, my alibi, my storyline. Like, you're going to leave me. Like, I'm going to make sure I don't get too close. I can't let anybody in. I can't be honest with anyone, like lying, manipulating and doing whatever I could to like compartmentalize and like play whatever role I think I needed to play.
Totally. And so then you got sober and everything got better?
Yeah.
Then you became a lawyer?
No, I sadly never became a lawyer. Spoiler alert.
You can still do it if you wanted to.
I don't know if I want to anymore.
You obviously don't, but you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, I could. Totally.
You're young.
100%. I could do. I could totally do it. I believe that people are capable of doing things that are absolutely unattainable.
100%.
Now.
100%.
But no, the couple years relationship ends. I end up getting,
And are you just like a functional drug addict at that point?
I'm drinking. I'm using some drugs. It's not that bad. And then I start using meth. And I had never used meth before. They didn't really have it on the East Coast when I was younger.
So you were back in Massachusetts. You were in Texas or Massachusetts?
I came back to Texas. Things got cold in November. I had been on the streets of Massachusetts. I'm like, fuck this. It's freezing.
Hold up. I don't want to rush through anything. I know this is long, but it's really...
No, it's okay.
I'm really enjoying this. So how did you wind up on the streets?
Well, I got off from the courts. The plan was to go right back to Texas like that week. Oh, I'll spend a week with my family and then I'll go back. But then I like got high right away, and I was just getting high. Yeah, and so it was always like, he was like, are you coming back? And I'm like, yeah, next week. I kept like pushing it back. I think I was released in like August, and I had been at a treatment center. I was court appointed, but when they dropped all the charges, I was no longer appointed to stay there. And rather than just staying, because it probably would have been the best decision for me, I'm like, okay, cool, then I can leave. And I just, was drinking and getting high. August, September, October, and then November.
But what is it to be on the streets? Like, are you in the streets?
Yeah.
So why aren't you back in the strip club making, $2,000 a night or whatever? You're like, I don't know.
Well, so there was only 2 strip clubs in Boston, and I was in Boston. They weren't very good. Very strict. One of them was really high end, but it was really hard to make money there. I had worked there before. 2, I didn't have a car to get to Providence. I think I had gotten a few DUIs. I didn't have a license. I just didn't have I was just like in the streets. So
like, who are you with in the streets? Like, what is that like? And because you're basically describing before, like, the myth in your mind is this woman that can take advantage and run the show and kind of
right. But I had gotten out of that a little bit because I had been in this relationship with this person. I wasn't working in the strip club, and I was like, oh, like
I'm a normal person.
Yeah, I'm a normal person, exactly. And so, I don't know. I think I was just getting high in Boston. That's where I knew how to get high.
And you're living on the street then by yourself?
Yeah.
That
Again, I'm
scary.
Kind of like bouncing from place to place. I'm staying on couches. I'm like, I don't have like a stable home, but then there's nights where I really just don't have a place to stay. And it's starting to get like really cold, and I have no car, and I don't have like a stream of consistent income. And I'm like doing kind of weird shit for money for sure.
Were you sleeping outside a lot?
Not a lot, but enough where when it started to get cold, I'm like, fuck this. I'm going back to Texas.
Where would you sleep outside in Boston?
I was in Dorchester a lot. So usually in that area at the time, but usually I would say like 90% of the time I was able to find a place to stay, like a couch.
Okay. So it was more like house.
But it was like
then street.
Yeah. But it wasn't like consistent, and it was getting too cold to like try and figure something out. Like,
so you're like, fuck it, I'm going back to Texas.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm kind of sick of this. Also, like I just gotten sick of it again.
But that dude was not. You weren't going back to that guy.
No, I was.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go back, and I finally am like home again.
I'm ready. I can make this work.
Yeah, and I kick cold turkey again. And start bartending again, and then eventually I like try meth, and I find drugs out there, because for a while we were like, he was like a normal guy, so like the people we were hanging out with, the couples, the like neighbors,
nobody had drugs.
No, they were like normal people. Like maybe some of them drank a little bit more than they should, but they were like normal human beings. Yeah.
I think it's it's so funny that he's like, yeah, go work in a bar. It'll be fine.
He has no idea.
Right.
He's like a normal person. Like, it doesn't occur to him that like alcohol is like
a drug.
Yeah, like he doesn't know. Like, he's like, you're a drug addict. You like can't use drugs, but like alcohol is fine, right? Like, he just like doesn't know.
There's a lot of people don't know. A lot of drug addicts don't know. A lot of alcoholics don't know. I just love, and it's fucked up that I love this, that the drug addict can show up at a bar and make money and then have access to anything that they want.
Yeah.
Just because you're at the crossroads of insanity because you're basically a drug dealer selling alcohol.
Yeah, for sure.
So how does meth come into the picture?
I had this girl who would, she was a regular at the bar, and she would come in, and she was like around my age, and we would like drink together. She would like come during the day, and like the bar would be empty and we would drink. And one night I like hang out with her afterwards. And I remember she's like, do you want to try, like, she brought me around some people, and they're like, do you want to try ice? And I'm like, I didn't know ice and meth were the same thing. I'd never been exposed to like methamphetamine on the East Coast. It was like crack and heroin.
In the East Coast, like meth is definitely like a gay subculture thing.
For sure.
More like a gay man 100%. Subculture thing. Whereas on the West Coast and in Texas, it's for...
Yeah, like chemsex culture, all of that, for sure. But I had like I'd never even seen it. On the East Coast.
Me neither. I wound up moving to California and wind up a very similar thing.
Yeah. So Texas, I try ice. I realize it's meth, and then like I start doing that.
Did you like it, or were you just like doing it because it was something?
Well, so at first when I did it, I took a hit, and I was expecting it to like be like a bell ringer, like crack, and it just wasn't. And I was like, this kind of sucks. But then I started to like it because like you're up and you're like doing things.
Energized and crazy.
Yeah. So, and then the psychosis starts to hit and things get weird, and he would come home from work and I would be in our like gated community with everything out of the trunk of the car in the like parking lot. And like in my mind, I'm cleaning and reorganizing, and he's like, it's 10 p.m. at night. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm cleaning the car.
And he's like, you've been cleaning the car for 6.5 hours. This is insane.
And like, meanwhile, like you're an IV heroin addict. He knows this. And he's like, isn't this a little peculiar? Like he
knows that I'm like doing some crazy shit.
Okay.
He knows. He's like, you have to stop. Like I would go out and I would disappear for 4 days, like with the car. And he'd be like calling me and he'd be like, you have to come back. Like, you have to come back. And I had gotten to a place where like, he was always I was very honest with him. Like I would lie in a moment and then I would like eventually be like, yo, this is the deal. Like I'd be gone for 4 days, not answering the phone. Eventually I'd answer the phone. He'd be like, Glenny, what the fuck? Like, where are you? What is going on? And I would just be like, I gotta be honest. I've been smoking crack in West Dallas for the last 4 days straight and I couldn't pick up the phone. He'd be like, just fucking come home. And it was like very sad. It was like a really sad situation because like he like loved me and he knew that I like wasn't trying to hurt him. He like had some kind of insight like, yo, this is not who she is, but like the addiction thing is like got
out of
her.
Control.
Yeah. And he'd be like, just come home and like let's figure this out, you know?
Here, hold on. I don't want to lose anything. My big fear is like we're recording for 2.5 hours and like it stops or whatever. So that's when he kind of is like, he's getting a sense of what drug addiction is.
Oh yeah, he has a sense.
And,
he knows.
And you're like full out gone. You're like 22, 23.
21, 22, yeah.
It's crazy because you started so early. You're like grizzled at this point.
Yeah.
Like you'd been through so many iterations of it.
Yeah.
When you would disappear for 4 days, like who would you disappear with? Like what would you do?
They have these underground game rooms in Texas, and they're like underground like casino rooms where you can like, you know, like
gamble. Place. That's what you do?
Yeah, it's like part of like the meth subculture. So like if you do meth, you probably go to game rooms. There's just like some correlation with it. And you probably do GHB if you do meth because the GHB helps you go down. It's like game rooms, GHB, meth. So you go to the game rooms, they'll do a match, right? And they're crazy. They're like,
what's a match?
You come in with $5 and they'll match you on $5. $5, they'll match you. So like a $10 game. Do a match, meet up with some other tweakers, push a button for a little while, you know, like hit the pookie pipe in the bathroom because it's already an underground game room. So
I've
like
never heard of any of this. So you're it's like built for meth addicts.
Yeah, and it's not like a legitimate business. They would change all the time. So like you had to be like in the know of like where they were, and they would be called something like the salon, and like it would be like registered on Google Maps as like a salon, and then you go inside and there's like a guy at the door and like cameras and the front door is locked, and like it's not a salon, it's like a game room.
So all of these, like everybody comes on my stupid show and talk about like trap house this and trap house that. You're doing this game room culture for 4 days at a time, bartending on meth. And then you're only coming down on the GHB.
Yeah. The GHB really helps you come down off of meth.
You're not hunting for heroin immediately on the meth.
Not immediately, no. I'm like, heroin's bad. This meth thing's chill.
This is chill.
And I'm like, and there's definitely like trap houses, but not as much. Only when I would have periods of time where I'd be like doing meth and I would find myself down a crack rabbit hole. Crack was not like a regular thing anymore. It hadn't been since I was young. I like stopped doing crack for years and years and years, but I would end up in a crack house usually every like few months where I would go on like a 3 or 4 day like crack bender.
And you would smoke the meth and the crack. You wouldn't shoot them.
No, not shooting. I'm just, hitting the 10 and 2, the old Pookie pipe.
10 and 2. Amazing.
Yeah.
So he's like, he starts to get really concerned, and it gets.
He's so concerned.
He's a hostage.
He's like 100% hostage for sure. I always call him that. It's funny you say that. I call him hostage number 2 because like I've definitely taken him hostage. He doesn't know how to help me. He's like, there's a point where I'm trying to get into treatment. I can't get into treatment with the insurance I get on. I find myself in one. It's like a freaking psych ward in Dallas, Texas. I like go there. I get out. I use again because like I keep trying to convince myself that if only I could get physically separated for long enough, if I could get enough time to not have this like physical craving, that like I'll be okay. And it's crazy how many times I go in and out of detox facilities with this idea and it fails over and over again. And I still try to convince myself that like it's gonna work this time.
Well, it's like we have this idea that all we need is to be removed from the drugs, and then all of a sudden we're like writing books and getting in shape and like all this shit.
Right.
So how does it, like, what happens then?
Well, eventually,
you're full on meth.
It's full on in meth. Hang out with a bunch of like gang members in Dallas, and like I'll always have like one crazy like crackhead tweaker girl, and we're getting high. I start doing some heroin again. It's tar though. I had never done tar.
Smoking it or shooting it? Shooting it.
Yeah, I smoked it for like 5 seconds.
And then did you start shooting the meth too, or no?
No, I like to smoke meth. I've shot meth, but I like to smoke it more. Heroin was like really my thing, but
me too. I found meth to be. I did meth for like 2 weeks, and I was like, just get me back to the heroin, like immediately.
Yeah, I did off and on meth stuff for a while, but towards the end, the last few years, I was doing meth and heroin every day. But if I had to choose between one or the other, it was heroin.
You smoked the meth, you shot the tar.
Yeah, and eventually, like. Crazy situations happen when you're tweaking, like, or doing drugs in general, but like especially tweaking. Like when you're tweaking and you're hanging out with tweakers, like shit gets so fucking crazy. So like not one, but 2 different cars are stolen. It's not even my car. It's my boyfriend's car. And like one time gang members stole a car in West Dallas. Somehow we got it back. We're like in the hood. He's with me. I'd been on one of those like 3 or 4 day crack benders. He's like just so upset and like beside himself and like just doesn't even know what the fuck to say. He's just like done. And then another time the car gets stolen. This girl cleans out our entire house. When I say cleans out our entire house, I don't even know how she got the address. I never brought her there. She probably found something in my glove compartment. And she like stole everything.
Steals the car and then decides to rob the apartment.
She steals everything. There were no chargers left in the sockets.
Right.
Throw pillows. She stole everything.
Right.
And he was out of town visiting family and like came back for a funeral, like a family member's funeral, and like came back and like everything was empty. And I like tell him the truth, and it's like almost hard to believe.
Wow.
Like he's like, I believe you, but this story is not a believable story. And the police are coming and we have to like submit a claim for insurance. Like you cannot tell them that story. Like that can't be the story. You tell them it's unbelievable.
Well, why not? Like explain that.
Well,
I mean, you got robbed by some crazy person.
Yeah.
It's like the Beastie Boys song, She's Crafty. They take everything.
Well, so there's a few things. I like get nervous. I don't know if I should say this just because there was other people who were in our life that were involved and I don't want to like hurt them. But we were renting.
I'll take anything out that you say. Like if you want me to take it out, just try to explain it in a way where nobody gets incriminated.
We were renting a space from some friends.
It's always good when somebody stops talking and they start looking up because then that's when the real good, horrible thing is.
Yeah. We were renting a house from some friends. He was out of town for a funeral, his grandmother's funeral. And there were periods of time where I would get my shit together, like I said, where I'd be okay for a week or two. And he'd be like, okay, you're good. And then I would like fall back. And like when he was out of town, I like fell right back into it. And so I go off on this like run, not at the house. I never brought people there because like it was not only mine and his house, but it was also our friend's home that we were renting, like, and it was a nice neighborhood. They were nice people. They were normal people.
And you knew better than to do that. That was like the one barrier.
Right. So I like go out. I'm like in these game rooms. I'm hanging out with all these tweakers and I'm hanging out with this girl who I met in county jail in Texas. It's a really good place to make a friend.
Totally.
And she's into fraud and she's into like check fraud and like stealing out of mailboxes. And like I had never done any of that, but she's like really into that. And like at one point she tries to get me to like cash her payroll check, but it's like clearly not her payroll check. And I'm like so stupid at this point because like I had, for the most part, been living a relatively normal life, drinking and stuff, but like not like on drugs for a little while. And so I'm in this like insulated area where I'm like not out on the streets and like things had been like pretty safe for me for a little bit. And I'm not like out with people like that. And like I like try to cash the check and it's not even my account, it's our account. And he like puts a stop on it. He's like, no, this is suspicious. This is like weird. And so she's hanging out with me all weekend and we're like tweaking and we're doing meth and he's out of town. And at some point we separate and she goes, I don't know where she told me she was going, but we were supposed to meet back up in a few hours. And what I know now is that she went to our house and brought a bunch of people in the middle of the day and like cleaned us out, like stole all the tools from the garage, stole everything from the apartment, from like our apartment. It was like a guest house. Luckily they did not get into our friend's house, like the main house. God. And they're like outside trying to sell the tools to like gardeners in this like nice neighborhood in North Dallas. And I have no idea any of this has happened. And she like calls me. She's like, hey, do you want to meet up? And we go to meet up. And she's like, hey, can you stop and get a pack of cigarettes? I don't have my ID. And so we stop and we're on Harry Hines Boulevard, which is like the Skid Row of Dallas. It's like a rough, like pimps, hoes, game rooms, like everything bad. Entire motels that have been turned into like straight crack dens, like open air drug markets. It was like crazy. And I go inside to grab a pack of cigarettes and I walk out and like she's gone and so isn't the car. And I'm like,
holy cow.
Calling her. And I have no idea other than like she's gone. I'm like, oh, she's gonna be back. And like she's a tweaker and a drug addict and like into fraud. And she like isn't coming back. And I like have no other option other than to call my boyfriend, who was like, I was about to call him and he calls me and he's like, where are you? And I'm like, where are you? He's like, where's our fucking TV? Oh, and I'm like, God. What? And he's like, our friend came home, saw things awry, went to the apartment, TV's not on the wall. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, and it's all like kind of like coming full circle. And I like have this like moment of being like completely like, I was embarrassed. I was like, oh, I just fucking got
yeah, like
I got like bad. And
because in Texas they really don't play. It's a whole other level.
Oh, dude, clean me the fuck out. And I like should have known, which is like the other part. Like I should have like been hip to like what was going on.
Worcester is one thing, but Texas is another thing.
Dude, I also, again, I was never on some tweaker shit. It was like a whole other fucking game with these tweakers. They're crazy. And so like I end up just telling him the whole truth. And he's like, we cannot tell our friends this story because it's not believable. Like, it's really not believable. Like, to say that, like,
it's believable, but it's like it puts you in the jackpot of the story.
Well, they didn't know I was on drugs, but they knew something was up with me. But like, furthermore, they thought that I stole all that shit. And they're like, he was like, if you tell them this story, they're gonna think it's you. Right. And like, the truth is, like, that's what I would have thought. Like, yo, she just like robbed us. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure part of you now thinks, did I rob them then?
No, I didn't.
Of course, didn't. But you know what I mean. It's like we put ourselves in these crazy situations and everyone believes this thing and you know it wasn't true. But then like years and years later, it's just like, how did that even happen?
Well, I mean, they had already called the police. The police are there, and he's like, you have to come here and talk to the cops. I'm like, I've been out for 3 days. You don't understand. I cannot talk to the police. He's like, no, you have to come and talk to the police.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And I was very shifty, and I was totally twacked out and like in psychosis. And the cops were like, something is up. But like, they couldn't really put their finger on what. And so she gave me her card. And eventually I just like called the cop and like told her the truth, that there was like a girl that stole all the things, and she like believed me, and that was like when our relationship like ended. He was like, you have to find a place to live. He was like, I'll give you some time to figure it out, but like, you need to get out of this fucking house, and I can't deal with you anymore.
So sad and scary.
Very sad.
But he had to do it.
Oh, dude, he should have done it a long time before, to be honest.
He thought he could get you better.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
So how long were you with him, and where did you go?
So I started working at the strip club again, because I was like trying to like
near the game room
in Texas, yeah.
And you were still doing meth.
Yeah. I was doing meth. I was like trying to get enough money together. At first, I started off as a waitress at the strip club, and then I started working as a dancer again. And
because you stopped doing that when you started dating him, because he didn't want you to.
Both the relationships I stopped, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, I don't have this guy. I have to make some fucking money.
Yes, exactly. And so, eventually, the relationship ends, and I end up going on. I meet this pimp named Money Mike, and I started like full blown.
How does that? How do you find him? How does how does this happen? Yeah. And also, is Texas strip clubs way different than Providence, or is it all the same thing?
They're not quite as crazy as Providence.
Really?
No, they were crazier than Boston, but not crazy.
Providence is a whole other level.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, there was other shit going on, but it wasn't so open. There's always stuff going on behind the scenes, in places like that. It's inevitable, but like it's not like open. You know what I mean?
So you start dancing,
yeah,
in Dallas, and how does Money Mike come into the situation? Well,
so I had been in county jail, in Texas a couple times. For a DUI, and then I'd fail drug tests, and then I'd do time. You know what I mean? It would be like a couple months here and there. And I met this girl, and she connected me with this guy, not Money Mike, but another guy. And I was like, her and I had remained like friends, and she connected me with the guy, and I was like, I felt very stuck because I was not in this relationship. I loved this person. It was really sad. Like, he cared about me. He knew he couldn't help me. It was a very sad situation because like he wasn't angry with me. It was just like sad because like I was like dying. And it was like clear.
Well, he wanted to be with you and he couldn't.
It
took him
so it was
getting
very
everything
cold.
He stole from his house to be like, I can't be with you.
Right. And so I was like, I need to get out of here, and I can't like stay here anymore. It's like too sad, and like I need to like figure my shit out. And she's like, hit up my homeboy, and I hit him up, and he was hanging out with Money Mike, who I didn't know at the time, but had just gotten released from federal prison for pimping and pandering. And they came and picked me up. I was like down and out at some point. I'd been, I was in some trap house or whatever. Phone was stolen. You know what I mean? Suitcase, walking down the street type deal. Didn't know who to hit up. Reach out to this girl on Messenger. She connects me with this guy who connects me with this guy, right? It was just one of those
mayhem.
Yeah, weird situations. He picks me up, and we go to his like mom's house in the projects in Fort Worth. And he like is like, hey, like, you want to make some money? And he's like pretty straight up about what it is. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And in my mind, I'm going to use him and he can, like, I'm going to use him to like get what I need to like learn the game. And like, I understand that he's like using me, that this is like a transactional thing. It's not like I'm in love with him and I want to have his babies. It's not even like that. And like, he's like a career pimp. Like, it's what he does for a living. Like, that's his career.
But you had made money doing sex work in the past, and you were like, maybe I know something. Maybe I have a little edge so I don't get totally turned out by this guy.
Yes, I think I did think that to an extent. But it also was like, it was different. It was a different type of like.
The idea was like symbiotic. It wasn't like the pimp. I fell in love with this pimp.
No, but it also like the sex work that I had done was like more like kind of just in my mind. It was like I was a dancer and like I was just doing this thing to make a little extra money. But like, you know, he like creates this like big story of all the money that we can make and what we need to do. And this is how you stay safe. And this is how to post. And this is what you need to do and not do and all of this stuff. And like he did teach me a lot on how to stay safe when I was like out there doing that stuff.
What does that mean? How to stay safe and how to post?
How to
not get killed, not get diseased. Like, so what are some of the tricks that Money Mike teaches you?
He teaches me, well, how to post is one thing. You have to know how to post on certain sites. So obviously like Backpage was one thing, but then there's this whole other underground world of like sex work sites where you can only get on those sites if you're verified. And in order to get verified, you have to see certain like tricks, if you will. They call it hobbyists.
Wow.
So they're in the hobby. The hobby is...
And you described this as like Yelp for sex workers.
Yeah, 100%. But you can't just log on and like get on there. It's like...
you need to be recommended by hobbyists.
Right. Yeah, invited.
AKA John's or
And then
Trips.
you have to verify yourself. Like you have to like take a picture with your name, your date of birth, and today's date written on it. And this is, again, like 10 years ago, right? There was no like AI to like figure it out. And so like there was all these like verification processes you had to go through on top of like being reviewed by somebody who already had seen other providers, and the providers in turn, that's what they call sex workers in this subculture, in turn also write reviews for the hobbyists. So if they're somebody who doesn't pay, somebody who doesn't show up, time wasters.
It's like Uber reviews or something.
Kind of, yeah. And so once you're on one of these sites, then you can use that verification to get verified on other sites. And once you're like a part of all of those, you start to go from making not that much money to making a lot of money.
Because you're like a known product.
Yeah, 100%.
Like a product that people have verified as good.
Yeah.
And what's your life like? Are you on heroin again? Like,
yeah.
How is it? Is it horrible? What is it like?
Again, like
it's a great question. Is it horrible?
I mean, it wasn't like great. In the beginning, it was definitely super rough because it was like a lot.
Rough people, rough places.
In the very beginning.
Very scary.
Yeah, it was pretty scary in the beginning for sure.
And how helpful were drugs?
Well, also when it was the very beginning, very helpful. But also the pimp was like always not that far, truly. So like if I was like going someplace, like he was like close, like he knew where I was at and how long I was supposed to be there. And if I like didn't come out, like he was going to come looking.
Did that ever happen?
Yeah.
So like give us an example of one.
Well, I wasn't a very good hoe. I would fucking do drugs all night and I would fall asleep and shit. And he would like, it was like the #1 rule, like you never fucking fall asleep. He's like, you don't fucking fall asleep, bitch. We thought you were dead. You know what I mean? It was like a thing. So I would do that. Yeah, there was like all these like rules that we lived by. And
what are some of the rules?
Never fall asleep.
Never fall asleep.
Like you're never on some like simping shit or like some free love shit. Like you don't like spend time with men for free. Like you just like, you don't. And like, that's like kind of ingrained in the culture.
Is simping the opposite of pimping?
Yeah. Like on some relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend type deal.
Right. There's simp and then there's pimp.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Are you the simp to the pimp?
No.
No.
Neither.
Because I heard you also say like the pimp and hoe thing is a very specific culture.
Yeah.
So what did you mean by it? Because I have no familiarity.
Well, I mean, all the pimps like know each other all over the country. Like real pimps, like they know each other. They communicate with each other. They like know what's going on in different cities.
There's like pimp group chats and stuff.
I'm sure. Yeah. There's like a whole thing. And like, this is gonna sound so racist, but it's just like true. Like, it doesn't matter if you're like a black hoe or a white hoe. You can't make eye contact with like black guys. Like, no eye contact with black dudes because.
Why?
I mean, depending on where you are, but like in the places that we were at, there were like other pimps around. It was like a sign of disrespect, and like other pimps are usually trying to break on your hoe if you have like a good hoe.
Wait,
I mean,
what is
like,
it? What is it to break on a hoe? Just help
to
me out.
steal?
Oh shit! So any black guy might be a pimp, and if you make
Especially
eye
in
contact,
these particular areas that we were around.
Is Money Mike black?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, how good are you with slang, pimp, simp, hoe slang at that point?
Pretty good.
Were you speaking like in a totally different way than you've spoken this interview?
Maybe.
Can you give us a little taste of vernacular, or you don't want to do that?
No.
Okay. So teach me more about the pimp and hoe culture, because I mean, just simps and pimps is fascinating.
I mean, it sounds really.
And no looking at black guys in the eye. How about Indians? Can you look at them in the eye?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, and Asian people definitely.
Yeah.
Jews is
well,
the
another
thing
thing is I sound.
No, please. This is fantastic. This is like the best episode ever.
I know, but I feel like this is just the reality of the culture. Like, black women were called, I hate saying this, they call them ducks.
Okay.
And like young white women were called like goose, like the golden goose, because they're worth more money.
So you were a golden goose?
Because I was young.
Yes.
Not just white, but also young.
Yes.
And not like tore up quite yet. I was getting there for sure, but covered in abscesses. But
were you covered in abscesses?
Oh, I would get abscesses all the time. Yeah. Like, I mean, I was like admitted to the hospital at one point because I had like an abscess on my face that got so big. They put me in the ICU. I mean,
when did you start shooting in your neck?
I started shooting in my neck years ago when I was like 18, 19, back in Massachusetts. But I got to a point where I wasn't even shooting anymore. My veins were too shut out. I was just smoking, but I was like so unhealthy and like picking and all of this stuff.
Right.
And like I had already had so many abscesses. Once it's in you, it's so easy to keep getting them. But what other subculture?
See, you're interested anthropologically. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I know. I just feel it's such a dark thing. Yeah, you never want to be in some relationship shit. So, you know, a square is somebody who is not a sex worker, who's not in the game, who's not in the life. So, like, you don't want to be a square. A fresh turnout is like a girl who has not prostituted before, and you're trying to kind of convert her.
Because you're freshly turning them out.
Yes.
Okay.
Freshly turning them out. Mm-hmm. So a fresh turnout, a girl who's inexperienced, she doesn't know what it is, like that kind of thing. Yeah, the worst thing that you could be was like on some boyfriend girlfriend simping shit, right? Like in a relationship.
That undercuts the pimp hoe dynamic.
Right. And also just as a hoe, like you weren't allowed to talk to men at all or have friendships that were male unless they were paying you. If they're not paying for your time, then like you're not with them. And that was just like an idea. It wasn't even just on, that was like just an idea that was like ingrained into us in general. Like you don't fuck for free. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. Like, why would you do that? What a waste of time. Like,
so did you have no romance in your life at that point?
No.
Just money?
Yes.
And how much money did the pimp get?
All of it.
All of it.
But the whole like psychological part of it, at the time I was trying to leave this like reliance in this relationship I had. And so like we're coming up together was like the ideology. Like I never like wanted for anything. And like I had, you know, my nails done and my...
Oh, shit. What just happened?
Cricket.
It's funny because Glynis does a very high-end podcast in a studio and all this stuff, and like we're at my dad's house with my iPhone, and like I hadn't charged the iPhone, and it just like went dead. And then my dad's home. Everything is falling apart.
Hey, Dad.
Dad, you can't be in the room for this one. It's too risque for you, Dad. It's too much. Would you just get a letter? I got a letter. I got another parking ticket. It was a bus.
Unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Dad, you're gonna have to go to your bedroom for another half an hour, and we'll be done. So we almost lost video, but we didn't lose video. Mm-hmm. We were up to nails.
Yeah, nails done, hair done.
He did that for you.
Well, the truth is, if I look back on it, I did it for myself because I was the one making all the money.
And you were the one who actually did it.
Yeah.
And it was your money.
Yeah.
And he would give it all to him and he'd dole it out to you. What about drugs?
Yes, to an extent, but that was actually frowned upon with him. Not good. Not good for your host to be on drugs.
But you're a total drug addict.
Yeah, total drug addict.
Were you the most golden of all the geese in his stable?
No, there was another golden goose who was like young, blonde. She was actually the girl who I had met in county jail. And
she was not the girl that robbed you.
No, different girl that I met in county jail who connected me with the guy who connected me with Money Mike. But she didn't know Money Mike. And she ended up getting out of county jail, and I ended up like turning her out because that's also very much a part of the culture. Like your job is to like
find other geese and ducks. Fowl.
Yeah, it's very.
Is there any other bird terms?
Not that I can think of at the top of my head, but I mean, like he would go on these whole things where they would like.
Tell me.
I can't even like.
Okay.
I can't even do it. It's like almost like a rhyme and a rhythm in a way that they talk and things that they say. If they like it just weird shit.
How did he dress?
Like a pimp.
Like in a suit. Like a tracksuit? Like, what did he wear?
Like Andre 3000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he had like straight hair and the whole thing?
No, short hair. But like the outfit's very similar, very matchy, gold teeth, pinky rings, all of that. Just like very showy.
Was Magic Mike a decent fellow in general?
Money Mike.
Yeah, Money Mike.
I would say if we're comparing to other
pimps.
Yeah, he was probably like the lesser of a lot of evils. I think knowing what I know today, like I have a lot more understanding and compassion for him. Like he grew up really rough. Like he grew up in the projects. His mom was like a crack addict. Like all of his family, no dad, all of his family, uncles, cousins were either drug dealers or pimps. And so I think that like there was really no other option for him. I don't think that there was like a way out for him that he could see, that he didn't have any access to any like hope or solution. So I think it's just like what he learned as like a young kid, and like that's what he did. And like he didn't beat me or anything like that. And a lot of like guerrilla pimps or whatever, like that's what they'll do. But there was a lot of like fear tactics, and it was like a lot more psychological. Like the thought that he would like find you and hunt you down, like the thought that he would like take everything from you. Like he had your ID, and it was like very incremental. It was like slow. At first you feel like you have a lot of autonomy, and then it becomes like more and more apparent, like slowly but surely, that like you have absolutely no control over the situation. And at first it was like enticing because like I had no place to live. I had no money. I had like no job at like a strip club here and there, but it was like, okay, neither of us had anything. We're staying at his mom's house in the east side of Fort Worth in the projects. You know what I mean? On Boca Raton Boulevard. And now we have a car, like in a couple weeks. Now, okay, we have a car. Like now
so
we're like...
he wasn't like a very successful pimp before you came along.
He had just gotten out of prison the week before.
And he's like, all right, girl, you and me are going to build this thing up.
Before he had a bunch of girls, and like he had like built his life up. And then he did 10 years in the feds. And like lost it all. And so it was like, okay, like we're going to build this together. You know what I mean?
You were like his prospect. You saved his life.
Yeah.
And he was your shelter in the storm.
Right. So we get a car, and then before you know it, we're living in a motel, which was a big step up from his mom's place. And then before you know it, we have like a loft in Dallas, and like we're living in this like really nice place, and like things are like, okay, this is working. Maybe I'll like stick around. And then he's like giving me a little money, which is like kind of against the like pimp code. None of the other girls were getting money, but he was like giving me a little bit. Maybe I think he knew that he needed to like kind of like give me something in order for me to stay around. But yeah. That girl that I met in county jail, I ended up like turning out, and years later like reached out to apologize to her and helped get her into treatment.
That's awesome. But
which is crazy, but
how bad? How long were you with Money Mike?
Like
7 years.
No.
I see your face turning when I ask the question.
I'm trying to think. It was probably 22 or 23 when that old relationship ended, and I was probably with him for like 2 years.
Right.
And then it got to a point where there was a bunch of girls. He was a big drinker, and like his like drinking had gotten like, he no longer was like managing me. I was like doing my own thing, and I was like, I had regulars and I was making a lot of money, and they were very consistent. So it wasn't as like me hitting the streets trying to develop a name or a reputation or clients or anything. I like now had like kind of like a very steady stream of income, and I was making more money than any of the other girls. Because I had been around the longest since he had gotten out. And then it got to a point where I was like, I felt like I was like feeding everyone. Like nobody else was contributing. It was like kind of all on me.
And you were were you full on heroin in that point?
Mm-hmm.
And so like, do you ever, I mean, I don't know what you remember from then or not, because are you on benzos too or no?
Yes, but not like daily. Like heroin was my thing. I would do benzos when I could.
Like, were you like reflecting on your life being like, I can't believe this is my life? Or were you like, this is kind of working out. This is functional. I have money. You probably had some crazy habit.
Yeah, I had a crazy habit. And no, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is my life. It was just like, again, when I'm like in this place, similar like when I was in juvie and it was like blinders on, or when I'm like working at the strip club and it's like blinders on, it's like, this is just what it is. Like kind of like full blown acceptance, no consideration of the big picture, what I'm actually doing. Like no connection to reality, like disconnected from like.
Well, you have all the drugs you could want. You're physically like wanted and adored and needed by the Johns and by Money Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You're in this fake position of power that's actually not a position of power, but it is also in that mindset.
In that, yeah, like
until you're free, you're in a position of power and you are like able to generate all this money based on your body and your face and your mind and the way you carry yourself. And I'm sure that there's something intoxicating about that.
I think so. And I think like, again, like going back to like the reality that I believed when I was like first starting to dance, it was really reaffirmed with Money Mike, because it was like, he was like feeding us this like false sense of the truth that was like an alternate universe. And you start to get to a place where you just like buy into it. You know what I mean? It's like when somebody's like involved in a gang or something like that, they like buy into the bullshit. Like, yeah, it's like mind control. It's like you just buy into the bullshit.
Well, it's somewhere where like a Ponzi scheme meets a cult.
100%.
You know,
100%. It's 100% like that, and it really is. And the idea is like, oh, we're a family, we're in this together. But like, also like the reality is like, bitch, you have no choice. Like, you better like do what you fucking need to do, type shit. And like, you don't have a fucking choice. And
what were like the worst moments of that period? Like, what was the scariest thing? Like, was there violence? Like, were any of these? I'm sure some of these men were not cool. Like, wanting to like tell you the secrets of their life. They're like scary fucking guys.
Well, so in the beginning, when I first started, before I was like verified and I was like in the streets, it was like some gnarly shit. But like, he was always close. So there was like 10, 15-minute calls.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like pretty gnarly. And so the biggest like fear and risk at that point in my mind was like the police, you know, but as I kind of developed, there was a way that like we would like verify people and who they were. And the more of a like reputation I had, the more people were willing to give me personal information. So like, I wouldn't go see someone new unless they like sent me a picture of their face and their ID. I wouldn't go to a hotel unless they sent me a picture of like their phone in the hotel room and then gave me their room number, and then I would call to make sure that they were there. There was just like different ways that you would like verify, or I would even ask for referrals from other girls.
Right.
And like, so it got to be like a little bit more chill. And it was like, for the most part, towards like when it was a little bit less sketchy and like not like, you know, on some crazy shit, like in the beginning, it was like, aside from seeing a sex worker, the guys were relatively normal for the most part.
So aside from which? Like,
they're seeing sex workers on a regular basis. They were like
right.
relatively normal people, and they'll tell you everything.
Not particularly gross, the guys.
No, there were some gross ones. You know what I mean? It's just, Inevitably, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I got to a point where I was just so disconnected from my body and my experience that it was like I just would compartmentalize
And you're on the
it.
greatest anesthetic ever developed at
Right.
that point.
Right,
You
for
know?
sure. It's like you just do what you fucking have to do,
And so how long? So eventually you're like, I'm tired of like fucking pulling the load for all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you walk away?
Two of my clients, two of my tricks, came. Money Mike was out with a couple girls. They weren't like quite to the point where they were like verified. So they were still on some like hit the streets, back page, that kind of thing. And they went out for the night, and usually they would like go out at night at like 6, 7, they'd go to the bar, have a few drinks, and then they would post, and the calls would start coming in, like hundreds of calls, right? Hundreds of calls. And then like, he's like dropping one girl off and then like dropping off the next and coming back and that kind of thing. And I had like a regular who I had seen, for a while, and I was like, hey, I have, so-and-so here, don't come back for a few hours. And so he helped me pack everything up. And then another guy let me, paid for a moving truck, and I just like packed all of my.
You fled.
Yeah.
Did you ever speak to Money Mike again?
I have, yeah.
You tracked him down through Facebook or something?
I've had him on Facebook, but I don't talk to him like now. But I had at first I didn't, because for the first year.
Was he like, where's my goose? And like, what did he do?
He's like, where's my bitch?
Right.
Is really what it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the phone was in his name. He had my birth certificate. He had my license and ID. He had everything. And I had been squirreling away a little bit of money with a different like trick who had like opened up a bank account for me and was like, you need to get out of this. And so I had some money, and I had a hotel room that I would use as an out call, just like booked pretty much all the time. Because typically you wouldn't have people come to your house. The one guy that was at the house was like very much a regular. I knew him really well at that point. So he would, but that was it. And so I didn't have an ID. He had my license. So I had to like keep that hotel room and live out of it. So he knew exactly where I was. And I was just like paying cash every day at the front. I had to like keep it going. It was like the only place I had to live, and like the car was in his name. So I had no car. And so I put all my stuff at one guy's house, and then I started like making money on my own. But another really bad thing in like the whole sex work pimp subculture is to be a renegade. A renegade is a girl that goes off on her own and is able to make money. It's bad for the other girls. They see like one of the bitches making money on their own. They'll think they
break
don't
away
need
from the pimps.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like it's not good. And it's like a blow to his ego. It makes him look bad. He doesn't have control over his bitches. This is really like the ideology behind it. And so he's driving by regularly. He and like, I know, because for a while that girl I had met in county jail, she was still like with him. And like I, reconnected with her, and she's like, yeah, we were like looking, he was like so like pissed. And I was scared that he was gonna like kill me, because he never like put his hands on me. But he was
But you
like,
had never left him.
He was highly like vindictive. And like when you did him wrong, it ran deep. Do you know what I mean?
It's like his self-esteem.
And like
if he can't control his bitches, what can he control?
What I had seen him do was him like call the cops on a bitch and like get her in trouble. You know what I mean? If like if I can't have you, nobody can type deal, shit like that. Or I thought he was gonna call another pimp and have them like pose as a John and like kidnap me.
But that didn't happen.
No.
Did you talk to him after you left? And how were you like safe as a renegade? Because you're like.
So I wasn't. I was on meth. I don't know. You said you've done meth for 2 weeks. Well, what happens on meth?
I did meth for I think longer than that, but not that long.
Okay, so when you're on meth, there's like delusions and psychosis definitely hit after not sleeping. And for me, the delusions and the psychosis were typically coupled with some form of reality in my life. So there would be some really crazy shit happening in my life. And then I would be up for days because I'm stressed and I'm anxious and I'm using. And like all of that combined into one thing was like a recipe or disaster. So I'm like hyper vigilant, highly paranoid. I like think everyone is either a pimp or the police. I'm like not really seeing anybody except for people I know. I'm like constantly thinking I'm being followed. I finally get a car and I'm like driving sometimes for hours and hours. Like I called the police on myself a couple times thinking I was being followed by pimps. I mean, I'm fucking tripping.
Out of your mind. Yeah.
And like there might have been a couple times where he drove by or like a pimp drove by or somebody was like posing as, but I was so paranoid and on edge that I would just lose it. Yeah, I was terrified. I was not okay.
Did you communicate with him? Like,
not during this time. No. Complete like communication. He would like reach out to me. Sometimes he would try to reach me through like ads that he saw posted, and I would like not talk to him at all.
And your clients were all your regulars, so you were safe. You didn't put yourself in any situations at that point that were like dangerous to not have him.
Right.
And then wouldn't he get mad at the clients at the tricks?
Yeah, but they were mine. That was a mistake he made too. Not a mistake he made.
Letting you directly deal with them.
He gave me more control than he would typically give other.
Why?
We had like developed this like trauma bond, like a friendship.
Because he had just come out of prison and worked.
We
it up
came
with
up
you.
together.
Right.
It was almost like it was a very weird situation, but it was like a partnership. It wasn't like that with the other girls.
It was an uneven partnership he was relearning.
He
the
let
business.
his like guard down a little bit.
Was a pimp hand a thing?
Like, did he ever like smack me?
Well, no, but there's an old song about somebody having a strong pimp hand.
Yeah, that means you smacked.
Yeah,
smacked a bitch.
yeah, right. But is it important for him to like be perceived as somebody like you made him look bad?
Yeah. No, that's very much part of it for sure.
So what
you definitely want to have like, there's definitely like a fear that's instilled. Yeah. And I was losing it. I like thought he might come and kill me, even though he never said, I'm going to fucking come and kill you. But
well, breaking away, what do you call a group of hoes? Is there like a group of geese is a gaggle? It's not a gaggle of hoes.
Maybe a flock?
A flock of hoes?
I don't know. I've never heard
Murder of crows. Murder of hoes. So when you break away and you're on meth, that's got to be a horrible place for meth psychosis.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. It was really bad. I like called the police on myself so many times, driving at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, thinking I was being like tracked and hunted by pimps. Like for real. They would show up. I don't know how I didn't go to jail. Like they would be like,
police negligence.
Yeah, for sure.
And they liked you for whatever reason.
Well, they would have just had to put me in the psych ward ultimately. I was tripping and I was genuinely terrified. And like, I think I had legitimate reason to be terrified, but like my psychosis and delusion really inflated that. So it was like hard to know like what actually was true and what was false. But like he was looking for me. Like he did want me back.
How did you get into smuggling Mexicans into the country?
Well, so eventually I kind of...
How's that for a segue?
Yeah. I was continuing to do sex work. Things kind of stabilized. I got an apartment. I got some money.
And you don't need a pimp.
I'm on my own.
Renegade hoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm like, in my mind, I'm like an escort. I'm this high-end escort. You know what I mean? And I'm traveling all over the country.
You were. And people would find you through these weird sites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm traveling all over. I'm making money. I come to LA to see someone, like a client, for like a few weeks. And
Charlie Sheen.
No, not Charlie Sheen.
Okay.
That would have been cool though. No, it was like an old NFL player.
Joe Montana.
No.
Okay.
And I end up like getting stuck there. I'm in like an Uber. And you know how they had the shared Ubers sometimes?
Yeah.
Some girl steals my phone, and my phone was my wallet, and my wallet had my ID, and I can't, and it had my debit cards in it too. And so I have like a suitcase, and I had been there. I was supposed to be there for a week. I extended it to 2 weeks. I had flown with enough drugs on me to like last me a week. I had like meth and heroin.
How much heroin do you think you traveled with?
Probably like an ounce of tar.
Yeah. Like a big ball.
Yeah. And maybe it'd been a week and a half. I don't know. I ended up extending the trip, and I'm like running out of drugs, specifically heroin. And what do you do when you're in LA and you need heroin? You're not familiar with the landscape. I mean, you go to Skid Row. So that's where I went. I went to Skid Row. I met this guy named Najee. He was like a homeless guy with a cart, and he was actually really sweet. He reached out to me on Facebook like a year ago, and I think he's like still out there, but he was like a lost soul, but not a bad person. And I was like, hey, I need to like cop. I need to find some shit. And we like, walked through the streets into MacArthur Park, which is like a rough.
No, I lived out there for 7
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah. So we go to MacArthur Park and we go to this hotel called the Hollywood Inn Deluxe. And he introduces me to this like paisa, like Mexican dude who speaks like no English. And he's like living in like one of the rooms in the Hollywood Inn Deluxe. And it's a super nice hotel, obviously. No, it's a total trap motel.
You hadn't planned on relocating, though.
No.
You just were there.
I was just there. So I copped from this guy in the Hollywood Inn Deluxe.
In Texas, you were just in a hotel, though. If you had left Texas.
Well, I had gotten an apartment.
Okay.
I had finally gotten an apartment and I like kind of like had some stability. I had like a whole place.
But he didn't track you down to your spot.
So he eventually we did reconnect and all his bitches left after I left. He was like, not right away, but eventually, because I was the bottom bitch and I
What
don't
is
know.
the bottom bitch? What's the significance?
It's actually the top bitch.
The bottom bitch is the bitch that you can rely on
Yes.
more than any other bitch.
Yeah. And they like set the tone. But he had lost all those girls. I don't know why. I don't really know the details. But he was like reconnected with me and he was like, hey, I need some help. Let's make some money together. And I was like, not this time, sir. I'm like, I'm doing fine without you. And I'm not willing to I was super nervous and paranoid and I saw him a few times. And then finally he was down and out. He lost the apartment. He had nothing left but his car. And so he actually ended up staying on my couch for a little bit, but not as my pimp at all. As just somebody who needed some support. And I was like, if you start, cause he would try to start asserting that whole thing. And I'm like, if you even start with that,
You're out of here.
we're done forever.
It's look at, you're living on my couch now.
Yeah. And Backpage had gone down, which made times tough for the pimps. And it was just
you had established your world.
Right.
So you leave, is he in your house when you go to LA?
I think so. Yeah, he was. He was staying in my house. And I go to LA and I lose my ID. Can't get into another hotel, keep missing my flight, don't have an ID to book the flight, lost my phone, can't even figure shit out. And I have nowhere to go except for that Hollywood Inn Deluxe. It was the only address I knew. And so I knock on the door and Martin, he answers the door. He speaks no English. He's like, I have my suitcase. And he's like, okay. And he lets me stay there for a while. And, yeah, you know how you meet those people, when you're part of that life, all this crazy shit, there's the really bad and then there's people that
you bond with.
Yeah. He spoke no English. I spoke no Spanish. So we didn't communicate for days. And then it turned out he did speak more English than he eventually initially let on. And I ended up staying there for maybe a month or two and getting on my feet. And there's always a plan to go back to Texas and I'm paying paying the rent still. And I kind of just get caught up in things out in LA and I end up just staying in LA and I still have this apartment for a while. And then eventually I let go of the apartment and I have a bunch of movers come and Money Mike's there and all this stuff's moved out into a storage unit. I'm just paying the storage unit.
And Money Mike moves into the storage unit?
No, he doesn't move into the storage unit.
What happens then?
I think he probably went to his mom's house or some other bitch's house. Who knows? But he helped the movers and navigated it all. And so, yeah, I end up just involved with a bunch of kind of gang members in LA and buying a lot of drugs and I'm,
doing sex work in LA too.
Mm-hmm.
But totally separated from the Mexican guys and just having money for them for drugs or whatever.
The Mexican guys?
What is your interaction with Martin and his crew?
Oh, it's not really his crew. He's kind of a lone wolf, but he's been down in MacArthur Park for 100 million years. Everybody knows him. So he's just he's addicted to meth. He's a good dude. Anytime I stay there for about 2 months.
You just get high with him.
Yeah, and I stay there, and he never touched me. He never had expectations of me. We just had this weird bond, and eventually,
as drug addicts do sometimes.
Yeah, and eventually I start staying at some other place. I'm staying at the Alexandria Hotel in downtown LA, and then I'm doing the same thing. In my mind, I'm not homeless, but I have no home, yeah, I just kind of get involved with a bunch of like kind of like gang members down there and stuff. So I'm like living this like high end, like escort bougie life during the day. And then I'm like copping drugs and hanging out with gang members at night. And they're involved with all kinds of crazy shit, like the crash units following them, guns, drugs, indictments. They all are out on bail. Shit gets really.
What were you? I mean, like when you hung out with these gang members, what were you like playing dice and being like A S A or what were you doing? Like, how is it that was like that was where you'd relax?
So I was in downtown LA. I mean, that's who was around.
What would you do with them? You get high?
Yes.
Play dominoes?
I think when I was first there, I really needed money. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have my debit card, and I couldn't get any of my money because I didn't have my ID. And like I had an opportunity to like make some money with some people that had to do with stealing some cars and all of that stuff. And there was some gang shit. And so we're like, I end up spending like 3 days straight with a bunch of people from the specific gang. And I'm like driving around 24/7. We're like scoping it out. And then it doesn't end up happening. And so they drop me off. But then I stay connected to one of them.
It's so weird though, because it's like, who are you to be involved with all this stuff with them? It's just like
nobody.
Right.
I mean, I'm nobody. I think at first they thought I could be a cop for sure.
Well, it's
because I'm also like a white girl randomly popping up in the hood. It's like classic cop shit. So like they didn't do heroin or anything, but they all tweaked, and like they were like suspicious but unsure. And then after a while, I was around in that neighborhood long enough, like doing the same thing. And then I think that one person who I mentioned saw it as an opportunity to like he wasn't a pimp, he was a drug dealer, but I think he was like trying to break on me, and he was trying to squeeze me for money. Like crazy shit was happening. At one point we're in an abandoned house, and he like handcuffs me to a fucking sink and like is like, give me your money, and I'm like, I don't have any money. Like I wouldn't. This is just crazy shit like that. And I was like, you know what, fuck this. And I go to Vegas for a few months. I come back, and all of them have gone to prison. One's looking at a life sentence for kidnapping and murder. Another one is currently doing like 12 years in Calipatria for I don't even know, like fucking extortion. God knows what else.
What was the Vegas months like?
I just was staying in hotels in Vegas and just making money. It was sad, dark, but like way chiller than LA. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of LA.
Doing drugs, living out of hotels. Were you like on the strip, all dressed fancy and stuff? Like it's a movie?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
So eventually I go back to LA. All these gang members who like shit was getting really crazy with them. And I think I left at the perfect time because like they were getting pulled over, they were getting arrested, and they kept making bond, and they would continue to let them bond out as long as they showed up for their court dates. So they're getting caught with guns. I'm in the car I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And the psychosis is kicking in. I think the police are everywhere and there's helicopters. I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And so I leave, I come back. All of them have like finally like they're in prison. And then I start like buying a large quantity of drugs from another like person in Skid Row, like on a corner out of a tent. And I'm buying it consistently enough where eventually they bring me to the person they're getting it from, because I'm buying large quantities, like bigger quantities than they typically hold on a corner in Skid Row. It's all like 10s, 20s, 40s. And I connect with this guy, and I start buying like large quantities of drugs from him, but it's mostly just for me. Like I'm buying like maybe an ounce or something like that, but that's like relatively large in comparison to the people on the corner at Skid Row. And then eventually I start buying more. I'm buying larger quantities because I can sell it to 2 or 3 people and like make money off of it because I'm getting it cheaper. And at this point, I'm not doing heroin. I'm doing fentanyl because I can't get high off of heroin anymore. And so I'm buying like ounces of fentanyl, and eventually like pounds of fentanyl.
You're buying pounds of fentanyl.
Yeah. And then
I lived in LA, and I would buy heroin on 6th and Spring and over there. For years and years and years, and there was no fentanyl, and I had the worst connects. I would just buy it off whatever the crews that were there. When you start doing fentanyl, are they like, this is not heroin, this is not tar, this is fentanyl? Do they tell you? Like, how do you track it down?
First time I did it was when I was at that Hollywood and Deluxe. Somebody gave it to me. I had heard of it, but I never like smoked straight fentanyl, and like my veins were so shot out I couldn't get high off hair. I couldn't even get well. smoking heroin. I was like,
Right.
it was not
working out.
No. I probably, in all honesty, would have gotten sober around that time had I not found fentanyl.
Right.
But like I'd been on a run for years at this point. So like my tolerance was very high. I had like no semblance of wanting to go to detox. I'd been in and out of detoxes for years. You know what I mean? I had like no hope of sobriety, no hope of recovery. And I end up going, I meet this other person in another gang through somebody I met on the corner in Skid Row. And they're doing all kinds of stuff. They're involved in like organized crime and transporting illegals, transporting drugs over the border. What is it called? The fake cash when you're printing fake money? Counterfeiting. Yeah. Counterfeiting. All kinds of, in hindsight, knowing what I know now after doing federal time, like RICO indictment waiting to happen, right? But it just like didn't occur to me. I was kind of on a suicide mission.
Well, you were on fentanyl and meth.
I didn't give a fuck.
You're buying pounds of fentanyl on Skid Row. It's like, why would you be thinking about anything that made sense?
Yeah, well, the guy that I was getting it off of eventually, when it went from like the corner to like he was in like this dope ass loft apartment in downtown LA and like a really nice place. And I remember there was this like restaurant on the rooftop called The Perch, and it was like right next to there because he was like it was some next level shit.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to cross drugs, and I just was like, the risk versus reward wasn't there. They
wanted you to do what?
Cross drugs over the border.
Okay.
Money was not that great. You have to bring a lot. And you're going to do 10 years, even on a first offense, 100%. You'll do 80% of like a minimum 10-year bid. And I'm like, nah, not worth it.
And you're like 26 years old, 25, super hardened.
Yeah.
You're as hardened as you get.
Yeah,
to be that young.
Yeah, but I'm also I'm like able to support my habit too. So I'm like, it's not really worth it.
I don't need to do it. You're like a player in this whole thing.
Yeah. But then they're like, people. And I'm like, all right.
So like, how did you, I mean, it's like, I know that your life has been really crazy, but like you drive a truck down there and you're like, all right, guys, get in the truck. I'm going to drive. You're wearing like a straw hat. Like, how does this happen? How do you wind up being like the person to drive a truck down there and drive people back?
It's
like the weirdest, like
it is weird. Yeah. Well, I think that they probably target people who look unassuming to cross anything.
You could pass for a Mennonite.
Yeah, for sure.
But you were probably very glamorous and methy at the time.
I was very glamorous and methy. That's a good way to put it, for sure.
Do you know the song "Willin" by Little Feat?
No.
One of the lyrics is "smuggled some smokes and folks from Mexico."
Yeah.
You got to listen to that song. It's going to change your life.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of my mugshot.
Oh, I wanted to see you at the back of the wheel. What kind of car were you driving?
I was driving a Mercedes at the time, like an older one, not like a new one, but like a Mercedes nonetheless. It was actually technically a rental car. I had like a trick who owned a rental car company, and like I would see him once a week and he would just like let me have this car. And so I have the rental car, but it's mine. And you go to, a random motel or hotel down in San Diego, and you meet up with some people from Mexico, and they kind of tell you what you're going to do and where you're going to go, and you put them in your Bluetooth ear, and then you set off.
But how many people could you fit in the Mercedes?
Usually 2 to 3. And
how much does it pay?
With the people? It was like $1,500 a head if you only brought them like through secondary to like a stash house or a drop location.
And you were like, this beats sex work for now?
I was doing both.
Okay.
At this point, I think it was also more like, I didn't even need to be doing it. It was like more just like to feel something.
I need to do something.
Yeah, to feel something.
Advance
like, what else?
The insanity of this story. Like, and you really did, by the way. So congratulations for that.
Yeah, if you brought them all the way to LA and did a handoff, it was more money, like with the family.
And what were the people do? Like, what did they do did they sell like heroin on the street for the cruise?
People that you were smuggling?
Yeah.
I have no idea what they did. I
They're,
didn't know
they're like
about
working
them.
at Pollo Loco or something?
I didn't know a single, like.
You don't know?
The last guy the last run I did, he was in my passenger seat. I know his first name was Jorge. That's the only person's name that I knew. They spoke no English. They were like paisas straight from Mexico. I have absolutely no idea anything about them.
So you would just drive in silence. What town?
They were in
Mexico?
the trunk.
Oh my God! So you'd put 3 paisas in the trunk and then drive back.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you remember any of these drives particularly well? Like, what were you thinking about? Do you remember any of it? What would you listen to?
Nothing. You would have the people in your ear.
What would they be telling you?
They would usually have an idea when you first pick up of where you were. Like, I don't know how, but somebody was around somewhere with binoculars and would know where you were at.
It's great. This is really top 5 craziest Dopey episodes ever.
Really?
It really is. It's so weird. So you're driving paisas in the trunk, Bluetooth in your ear, getting spied on, and you're this high-end sex worker, meth addict, heroin addict.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, what happens then? I'm imagining you get busted.
Well, yeah, I definitely get busted. So the last time, typically I would pick up like 2 because I could comfortably fit 2 people. And
In
there
the
would
trunk.
be like, yeah, there would be like water back there. You know what I mean?
Snacks, like an Uber.
No, really, you would have like water and maybe some snacks because like usually they would come in through Mexico on onion trucks and then they would be dropped off at the border and then a coyote would like bring them to the border between the United States and Mexico, and they would be like waiting in a bush, literally.
So you'd have to drive over the border to Tijuana or something?
No, I would go right to the border.
What's the border town in California?
So, I mean, I would go through the Pine Valley checkpoint, and I would go to different. There was different places every time. I would have no idea where I was. They would tell me.
They would like direct you in the Bluetooth.
Well, they would tell me right before I would leave. Okay, this is the route you're taking. This is where you're gonna go. And then the entire time you'd be on the phone. They'd be like, "Okay, where are you? What interstate? Okay, you're gonna take this right. Okay, you're gonna take this left. Okay, you're gonna slow down here." And then there would usually come a point where you were close enough to the border in the like bush where there'd be like, "Where are you? Like, what do you see?" Okay, you're going to lose service soon. Like, as soon as you lose service, slow down in about 300 feet, and then you would see the people run out in front. And I'm imagining they probably have like a walkie-talkie where they'd say, okay, she's about to be there. And then they would run out. And then they'd tell me, we're going to call you until it picks back up on service. And so as soon as I would pick them up, put them in the trunk, turn around, start driving.
Would you just pop the trunk or would you get out and greet
I would just
them?
pop the trunk.
And they just jump in?
I would just get the fucking, a couple of times they try to get in the car. I'm like, no, get in the fucking trunk. and then they would just keep calling me until service would pick back up. And then as soon as service would pick back up, they'd know where I was because I'm, on a dirt road or something like that. And then, they'd be like, okay, where are you? Do you see anybody? Do you see any cars near you? Like, they would only know where you were when you were like close to the border, and then everything else was on a phone. And the truth is I don't know. They could have put a tracker on that car like in the middle of the night when I'm at the hotel. I have no idea. But I know that they were like in my ear, and so I'm communicating with them, and they'd be like, don't talk because like you never know where
Who's
Border Patrol
listening to you,
is.
right.
Not just listening. If your mouth is moving, like
They
you don't
know
want your
something's
mouth to
up,
be
right.
moving while you're driving. Yeah.
But why couldn't you be like on the phone with your dad and be like, oh, Dad, I'm just driving to Mexico to pick up these guys?
Yeah, that's true. But
you're also tweaked out, so you can't do anything.
well, I'm also like coming from the border, going through the checkpoint. So they're like looking for reasons. And that's why you wouldn't have them on like speakerphone. You would have like a thing in your ear through Bluetooth. So they'd be like, okay, where are you? Are you at the checkpoint? Okay, don't say anything. And they would almost always just wave me through. They wouldn't even ask for my ID. I wasn't crossing the border, so I didn't need to like get back into the country.
Did you dress a certain way to like avoid?
I would just dress how I was dressed. I was dressing. When I got arrested, it was like 6 a.m. on Friday the 13th, and I was wearing heels and a freaking mini dress. I mean, it was delusional. Like, I was insane. And the time I got caught, I put somebody in the passenger seat, which was a mistake. And
Was
they
that
told me
the problem, you think?
I think that was probably a big part of the problem. And I had 3 in the trunk, and the tires were not like, you want to put the pressure higher so it's like looks less way down in the back. There was a multitude of reasons, but probably the paisa in my passenger seat was the main reason. And I had just gotten cocky, and they had told me, they're like, just drop him off. We'll get him on the next run. Like, just drop him off. And I was like, no, I'm good because I just been waved through so many times.
Was that Jorge?
Yes.
In the passenger seat?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So, and then somebody pulls you over?
I go through the checkpoint, and they pushed me to secondary that time.
And you're just bugged out.
Well, as soon as they said go to secondary, I was like, I'm burned. And they were like, all right, let us keep listening.
This is a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
I mean, if you talk to people who did this back in the day, the truth is that if it was your first offense, you weren't like a registered gang member, like known like a federal felon, they would just like let you go. Your first offense. And so I really thought that that's what they were going to do. Like I thought they were going to let me go. And that's also what the people that I was doing for, that's what they told me.
Right.
But they also don't give a fuck about me. No. You know what I mean?
And they didn't let you go.
No, they didn't let me go.
What did they do?
They put me in the Pine Valley Border Patrol Station. Sat there for a few days, and then they asked to like talk to me. They asked me if I wanted to get into my phone to make a few calls and get some phone numbers. But I'm like, I know what you guys are trying to fucking do. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I want my lawyer. And I really thought that they were going to release me still at this point. So I was like cocky. I was like, no, I want an attorney. And they were like, have fun fucking prison. And I'm like, sure. And then I didn't talk to anybody again for the next like 2 months until my attorney finally came to see me at MCC.
How sick did you get?
So sick, violently sick. I hadn't kicked in years, and I also had never kicked fentanyl. Like outside of like a couple county jail stints for like a few days, a week or two. Like I had never like full blown kicked fentanyl, and I had been on a run for years straight. And I got so sick, I fell off the top bunk, hit my head. Pretty sure I had a seizure, and I was cross-eyed for like 3.5, 4 months. I swear to God, they sent me to the hospital with U.S. Marshals for 2 weeks because they're like, oh my God, she fell, she hit her head, she's cross-eyed, just one cross-eye. And
I'm sure that gave you street cred in the jail, though.
Well, the funny thing is when I first fell and hit my head, I just got back into the bunk and went back to sleep. I was kicking so hard. I didn't know I was cross-eyed. You know, you've kicked opiates. You know how your vision gets all fucking weird? I'm like, oh, my vision is just blurry. It'll get better. It didn't. So after like 2 weeks, I'm starting to feel a little better. I'm showering. I'm like getting out of bed. I'm eating a little bit. And like there's no mirrors. They're all like tin cans. Now I realize I'm cross-eyed and I can't see anything unless I close one eye. The guard's
like, you don't look good.
Well, no, they thought that I was just like that.
Right.
And so I eventually was like, I think something's really wrong. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm cross-eyed and I'm seeing double everything. And I had been saying this. But the one day I asked the guard who was there the day I fell, and he was like, has this been like this since you fell? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, shit. Like, we got to send her to the hospital. And they did all these tests, MRIs, CAT scans. Like, they thought something was neurologically, like, really wrong. And eventually, after 2 weeks of having the U.S. Marshals, like, guard me 24/7 at the hospital was like, we don't know. That's essentially what they said. They're like, we don't know.
And you kicked in the cell before you went to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even kicking anymore. I was like, they thought I might have multiple sclerosis.
Oh, my God.
But, I didn't have multiple sclerosis, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm in federal prison. I'm fucking cross-eyed. I have MS. Like, what is happening with my life?
So what happened?
They let me out and I was just cross-eyed. I thought I was going to be cross-eyed for the rest of my life. And then it just went away after like 3 months.
How long were you in there for?
MCC, probably 3 months. And then I went from MCC to another facility called Otay Mesa. It was another federal facility, and that's right on the border. So I was there for a few months. Then I went from there to another facility in Santa Ana. I mean, I just like bounced around, Pahrump. They just move you for a while. So it was like 18 months.
And that was the time you're meant to do for transporting?
No, 36 months. I was supposed to do 30 of it, but COVID happened and I was a nonviolent offender and I got out a year early.
And when you were in prison, did they like say you can go to meetings? Was that a thing?
There at one of the
that was your Pruno making run too.
Yeah.
Did you become an expert Pruno maker?
Yeah, I was making Pruno. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're like, why am I so interested in Pruno? I just never had it. And that was something that Chris would talk about because he had to do a year and a half in California jails. So he was a Pruno guy.
Yeah.
So what would you throw in the Pruno?
Whatever you had, ketchup packets, more sugar the better, and yeast makes it a lot easier. So I was working in the kitchen. Other girls we would all kind of like band together to get what we needed. So we bring back as much fruit as we can. And then we tried using bottles, but the pressure would like fuck it up because you could get like 12-ounce bottles off commissary of like Coke and stuff. So we started just using the bags because you have to burp it. You know what I mean? Because the pressure builds up. So it was like sugar, yeast and fruit and water.
Did you use when you were in prison? What were you using?
I used heroin and I used meth. There was a couple girls who had been arrested for like body carrying. One girl was arrested with a couple ounces of heroin inside her, and they didn't get them all.
So you had
yeah, there was stuff.
Things
Stuff would come through.
would show up.
Yeah.
So how did you get sober?
Well, the last few months, COVID happened. I was in prison during COVID. I was on like 24/7 lockdown. Nobody was leaving their cell. Like it was 24/7. So I had a couple months where I was like forced to be separated. There was no work. There was nothing. There was no movement. Nobody was shipping to different facilities. Nobody was coming in. It was a complete full stop. Everybody was just like stuck. And then they ended up letting me out early, which they let a bunch of anybody who wasn't on an indictment or didn't have like gun charges, gang affiliation, or a violent charge. They started to release us like right away, which doesn't happen in the feds. In state prison, you'll get out early. County jail, you'll get 3 for 1. Like, doesn't happen in federal prison. Like, you don't get out early.
That time in federal prison, were you so accustomed to being locked up, and you had been through so many iterations of your life, doing so many ridiculous things that you were just like,
it is what it is.
This is now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
a
bottom being cross-eyed couldn't have been great.
No, a lot of people say, oh, you went to prison. That was your bottom. That's why it got you sober. But I'd been to prison before. If that was the bottom, I would have gotten sober in the past. I think it's bottomless. I think you could always keep digging.
Yes.
I think there's it could always get
No,
worse
it's
and
the
worse.
lightning bolt happens for whatever reason. So, but COVID in prison sounds very like lonesome to me.
It was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
I did start praying when COVID happened. And it wasn't like, God, get me out of this type thing. It was like, tell me what to do next. Like, tell me and I don't know, it was like intuitive.
And there was no recovery. So you were just fucked.
Yeah.
And you were like, like total white knuckle.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. And I wrote a letter and went to court on Zoom in the basement because nobody was like going to court. And then they just let me out that day. And I went to like a recovery home.
Out of nowhere, they let you out. How long were you supposed to be in there? 36 months.
Yeah. So out of 36 months, I probably would have done 30 months and then 6 months in like the reentry or halfway house.
And you did?
I did 18 months.
Were you so happy? Were you so excited to get out?
Yeah, but I also had like no expectations of getting out. The worst thing that you can do when you have court dates or time is to like think, oh,
I'm going to get out.
Yes, yeah. So like I learned that a long time ago, like you're in here forever. That's the mindset you have to have. And so you make the best of the situation you're in and you program and you take any classes they give you and you do any job that you can do just to like keep your mind busy and you read a lot of books and you work out and like that's just what you have to do in order for the time to like.
What classes would you take?
There were like drug abuse classes. There was a music class. There was like Bible class, anything that you can do to let your time.
Right.
Yeah, like you do it.
And were you working out like a crazy person?
Yeah, I started to work out a lot there. And I had gained a shitload of weight. I weighed like almost 200 pounds when I got out of prison.
You were like ready to...
Rough around the edges. Yeah, for sure.
So you get out and you go to a sober house? Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
I meet this, most of the people in the sober house weren't sober, but there was one guy that was sober. His name was Jimmy the Poet. D-A, Jimmy the Poet. And he was legitimately sober and he was like very involved in recovery and 12-step programs. And he just would talk about it like it was like a movie or something. He'd be like, oh man, he would rap all the time. Everything about him, like I hated. You know, he was happy. He was so happy to meet me. You just got out of prison. That's dope. And I was just like, fuck you, bro. Right. I also had not been around a man in almost 2 years.
Right.
So it was very like, I had no idea I was going to get out. It was like, I was like an alien. I didn't know how to communicate. I was sober. It was just very weird. And I had nothing. And he was just like, oh man, you gotta go to these meetings. They're dope. It's the best recovery in the country. And he just like talked it up like it was like, you know, like the best thing since sliced bread. And I still was just like, bro, I'm good. Like, just give me some fucking space, you know? And and I had nothing. Really, I had gained so much weight. I didn't even have the clothes I was arrested in. I had like thrown them out on the third or fourth court date because like they didn't even fit on my arm. You know, the heels weren't exactly comfortable and also freezing cold in the holding cell. So, I just had nothing, and he had got me like shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, like some very basic stuff. And I just remember thinking like, what's his motive? You know?
He wants to turn this goose out.
Right. I mean, that was my thought, really.
Sure, of course.
Because that's how I had been living, and that's how my relationships had been for years, transactional. And I like skeptically accepted, but I also wasn't in a place where I was like humble enough to, you know, ask for help or say that I was struggling. And after a couple of days of being out like that, thought came back that like I should go have a drink. And for whatever reason, that thought had came 1,000 times and I'd acted on it, and, you know, the rest is history. But for whatever reason, on this particular occasion, I knew if I drank, I was going to use, and I knew if I used, I was in the very least going to go back to prison. I knew that for sure. I was like being required to do like drug tests pretty regularly.
Finally, it's like you had been through the mill so badly that you were like, if I use, it's all going to go bad.
Yeah, if I drink, I use, and if I use, I'm fucked. Or I was going to die. And for a long time, the last few years, I didn't really care if I died. But I kinda,
now you had like a minute of sobriety and freedom.
Yeah.
For the first time in
like real actual freedom, right? Literally.
Yeah.
And figuratively.
And basically 2 years. And before that, you had been.
I wasn't free.
You know, you were a slave to drugs, fucking Money Mike, like the whole. I mean, it's like, wow. Was it like terrifying to be free, or were you like, I need to do whatever they tell me to do?
No, it was terrifying.
Okay.
And the thought came that I was going to drink, and my parole officer showed up, or my federal probation officer. They don't really have parole officers in the feds. And he's like, you can't stay here. This is a men's sober living. For starters, there was 19 dudes there.
Yeah, why were you in the men's sober living?
I don't know. I met a girl in prison who told me the name of a place. I three-way called with my dad on 1-800-COLLECT like 8 months before I was actually released, and was like, hey, when I get out, I don't want to go to the reentry program. Like, will you let me stay here? And he's like, yeah, sure. It was like some old, you know, recovery guy that's been sober a million years who literally was 85 years old. And I had that letter of admission, and I went to the court and I said, I'm a drug addict. I need help. I won't stay sober if I go to the halfway house or to the federal halfway house, which is reentry, all, you know, federal felons. Can I go here? And the judge said yes. And then I met Jimmy the poet, and then my parole officer came and was like, not only is this a men's place, like everybody's getting loaded here. There was bed bugs. It was like gnarly. It was like not a very nice place. It was essentially a boarding house where the guy who owned it, who was like a bazillion years old, happened to be sober, but like nobody else was sober there. It was like people off the streets. And but Jimmy was there, and he ended up being my Eskimo into recovery. And when that happened, when the parole officer came, and when the obsession like to have a drink came, I just asked him for help because he was the only sober person I knew. And so he connected me with a sober woman who kind of like started my journey, and like took me under her wing, and the rest is kind of history.
And now, like, you're about to open a treatment. You fucking work on a million boards. You run a peak path, peak of possibility podcast. And it's like, did you expect to do 3 hours of fucking recounting here?
No.
I know. It got too interesting to me.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Did you have a good time?
I'm okay. I had a good time.
When you come back, we'll talk about like what happened.
Recovery?
Yeah, maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. You never know. Maybe when I go on your show, we could talk about recovery.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
But you can no recovery on your show either.
No. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe.
No, but maybe you'll come back and we'll do some more recovery stuff. But thank you so much for coming. Do you think? Is there anything else you want to say? Say something nice about hope.
Something nice. Something nice.
Hopeful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think
you do 12-step now, right?
I do 12-step. Yes.
And you sponsor people.
I do.
Do you have a sponsor?
I do.
And you're married.
I'm married.
And how often does he hear you talk about fucking Money Mike and all this shit?
Lately, a lot.
Is he enough? He's like enough with Money
Mike. I know.
Mike.
He's probably falling asleep. No, he knows all this stuff about me. I thought I was like kind of irrevocably broken. I didn't think it was possible to have a relationship. Even once I got sober, I didn't think it was possible to have a career. I didn't think it was possible to have like meaningful relationships or be useful like really in any way. And that was just all a lie.
You know what occurs to me is like, it's a long story. Lots happened. A lot of crazy developments. And all I was thinking about was like the nature of the drug addict as a chameleon and adapting to all these different situations, which you did. And now you're like sober woman, like involved with a lot of other sober people, like very responsible, very ambitious. Do you feel like the chameleon thing still is part of it, but chameleon for good? Or do you feel like I actually am who I am?
I mean, for the first year of sobriety, I still went by my street name, Boston. It wasn't until a year of sobriety.
I had a guy on the show called Boston 2%.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book called, it's a meth book called the Ballad of Fire and Ice. And the cover of the book was a needle with a meth pipe.
Oh my
across it.
God, that's crazy.
But so the fact that you called yourself Boston is incredible.
Well, I just started going by Glynis, and I started divulging parts of myself in a more meaningful way. And I just thought that it was actually worthwhile to just show up, and that like really I didn't have to like continue to like morph myself into anything other than like what
Who
it
you
is.
are.
Right. And I had never had like a community or like long-term meaningful relationships. And it turns out like if I just show up the way I am, that like I can build that.
You get to be yourself. And and I think like, I love the way you told your story. It's very, very brave and like very like, fuck you. Like this is what happened. I don't mind telling the story. And here I am. And it's like, what are you, 6.5 years sober now?
6.
When
I
was
turned
your-
6 in September, so 6 years, 2 months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Fucking cool. Very good.